Yo, yo, we back. Just making sure that everything's running smoothly. Cool, that's looking good. All right. Well, you can watch me work, watch me nay nay, as the title says. I think the title still says that. Maybe it doesn't. I'll just check. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. No, cool. I'll change that. Yeah. I'm not typing a bunch of stuff. I'm just correcting the thing that I'd written because I was gonna write "watch me work," and then I was like, I was writing "watch me whip." Work. Just chatting. I'm watching. I don't know if you guys know about Project Camp, which is some people out in Portugal that are living on a plot of land that they've purchased like 3 years ago now, and it's kind of like a documentary of everything that they're getting up to. So let me switch over to here so you can carry on watching this with me. Let me go full screen. Where's the bottom? Yeah. So I was just watching this.
Okay, so after leaving that place and thinking of diggers, I realized I need to do a bit more searching to find the diggers. So let me show you a bit what's been happening, and I think some interesting move came out of that. So I was looking online into all these diggers to find a suiting model that is not too big, not too small. So this one, for instance, would be too small, a 1.4 ton. We would go more for like a 3 ton model. This was actually quite a nice one, but it was already sold. This one had a lot of, it was pretty worn out. This one was a bit too pricey. So looking at all the models there and browsing online, there weren't that many options that really fitted for what we wanted to. And then something that was still there in my head as well was that many people in Portugal import these big vehicles because they're not produced in Portugal. So I figured I'll look on the Dutch website because I'm from there, so it's kind of easy to search. But I also didn't really find those kind of diggers. And then actually on the Portuguese website, back again because I was keeping an eye on it, I found this pretty cool listing. It really checked all of the boxes of the size we wanted, not too many hours, looks very good condition. But then after digging a bit deeper, I realized they're actually having a listing in Portugal, but they sell it from Northern Ireland, but apparently without import taxes because some sort of weird European rule, and they don't have any shipping costs, it's in the price. So it seemed pretty good, but it's also quite a significant amount of money to pay to a company that you never seen. So I was looking a bit into this. So they're called RDS Plant, and they have like a website. Looks pretty legit. What they usually sell is really big stuff, and they do a lot of export and shipping also to Poland and East Europe. But still, this could all be fake. I mean, I know how easy it is to create a website nowadays. Because they said you can also visit, but I don't want to go all the way there. So I was looking at the Google map where they are based, which is here. Looks kind of legit in terms of they have a lot of diggers and stuff. Looks like. They even have a bunch of reviews. Not too many, actually. They have like 9 reviews. So could easily be faked as well. Ask some friends or some fake accounts. So then I looked a bit into the online as well. Like they have these other websites. They also have a few reviews, but not too many. Like 5 on this website. I don't even know this or use this. And also it is a registered company in the UK, so an official website. It seems like the company exists, they have a location, the papers are there, but I'm not sure if the guy I'm talking to is actually the guy from the company. And we've also been chatting a little bit more, and he was sending me a lot of pictures of the digger, and overall it looks pretty good for what we need, which is nice. It comes with 3 buckets. I don't know, to be honest, at this point. If I talk with the guy, because we also had a phone call, super nice guy, he explains everything. I told him how can I know if you're real, he said I don't know. So I don't know how you go about these things, to be honest. Let me know if you have some ideas. But overall I think we're up for giving it a try. It's quite a chunk of money. It will be quite risky because we don't know if the company is legit and if it would actually come. There are many things that could go wrong, but it could also just work out, and then we have a good digger. So we had a good night's sleep, and now it's time to actually buy it, because it's the biggest purchase we made so far in Project Camp, so it's a bit scary. Not sure how it's gonna go, but let's see. But now, let's do it. Alright, so money is transferred. Now we need to wait 5 to 7 days before the digger should be here. So hopefully in the next update we can show you more about that. Let's see. And overall the digger is quite an important thing for us because it's really related to a long-term project of regenerating this piece of land, because with the digger we can do much more water retention projects. And we have landscaping and regenerating land is a big topic, and another one is also clearing up the vegetation around here. Trevor's been working on that and he has a new project for that.
Yep, so we're going to work on the last patch that we're going to clear in base camp. Maybe it's better if I show you with a map. This is the top view of the area we will work on in this project. We will clear from the closer edge of base camp, where the compost and yoga deck are, up to the road, and then the road's edge.
So there's way more.
Okay, I'm here just on the side of base camp. As you can see, the kitchen's right behind me. Come over here. We'll be starting our project in this area, right by the compost. As you can see, it's really overgrown with brambles, a lot of young mimosa. We're going to be taking a lot of that out. It's going to be the same as the project before, just a little bit more smelly, and that's because of our current compost bin situation. If you have any ideas on how we can improve that, you can check out our research module. The link is in the description. But that's it.
They're also documenting all this stuff, which I think is really good. So anything that they build or put together, they have schematics and documentation on their site.
Stare down.
It's kind of cool. It's good background noise, this stuff.
We finished the compost area. It's clear enough now that you can see the grass back there. That's where the pond is. Here we decided to leave a few more trees to strengthen the area right next to the edge of the pond for the root systems to keep this area very stable. Now we're going to be moving on to this area of the project. This is the area just behind the yoga deck where it slopes all the way up on the edge of the pond. We have a lot of dead wood to be removed, a few mimosas that are going to be removed, and that's it.
It's funny I'm saying that I've watched me work, working alongside listening to this in the background. I'm sure lots of people double up content intake.
It feels a bit conflicting, all this chopping, because in the short term, you're taking down a lot of trees and affecting the landscape. But in the long term, it helps to protect the land from fires and will also help bring back more biodiversity. After clearing around the yoga deck, we continued along the lake and up the slope. The area was cleared last year, but left many sticks and trunks to cover the soil. Now we want to make the space more livable, so lots of dead wood to remove.
This is the best job ever so far, according to Anselmo. His favorite job, right?
Yeah, it is.
Instead of leaving the dead wood, at some point we will wood chip the piles to cover the soil. Now the place looks cleaner and with less mimosa, less fuel for a possible fire in the summer.
So we're getting close to the pond, clearing this space, and here we're going to leave all these mimosas a bit more dense than the other parts, so the roots and the plants can hold the soil so it doesn't erode into the pond.
Great. Yum.
We're making two lines, one there, one here, and the aim is to the debris that comes off the road and all the stuff holds back, creating soil and defending the slope from erosion. Okay, done?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see the road?
So we are done with our anti-erosion structures. We finished, so now we have these nice little dams.
This poor little guy received some bad treatment.
Okay, so we are moving on to the next patch of mimosas. We are above the pond, or the lake, however you want to call it. And behind this we have this public road here, which means we will have to keep an eye out to leave the road always clear from mimosas.
We built another pile of wood that we will have to chip, but there was a little detail left to finish the patch. Right now we're going to cut the last tree of the project, this real messy one.
Please don't step. I think I'll stay here. I'll just stay and film. I think I really need to make sure the camera's still running.
All right, so we're all finished with the pond area clearance. You can see the green grass over there by the pond. The area is very clear, and it's actually now being utilized for some storage of mimosa material. So the space is being utilized, which is really cool. And then we moved on around the yoga deck, but now you can actually see straight to base camp, and you can see the yoga deck from base camp. And this area is much more clear now. We took out a lot of the dead wood. There's so much more space on the ground now, and we utilized some of the dead wood for just very basic water retention right alongside the pond. You can see right here. We're not quite sure what we want to use this space for yet, so if you guys have any ideas, comment below. And kind of an interesting thing about this area in comparison to the other areas we've done, there's a lot less baby oaks,
One thing I recently
which is
saw
a little
that was
concerning,
like,
but with the clearing, hopefully more
Like
reforestation
if you just
can
build a
happen.
bunch of like kids kind of like
This
climbing
steep
frames and
part
stuff
right
and
at the
do a
top
bunch
the
of
pond,
mud,
we just kind of left it how
and
it
just
is.
make it an obstacle
There's already
course.
retention in place, and we didn't feel like we needed to mess with it very much.
Charge kids for just playing in mud, basically. I think
now
it was
we're out on
something
the
called
road.
Rocky Road
The
or
neighbors are
Rocky,
actually really happy. You can
Rocky
see all
Road
the way
or
to base
something like
camp.
that.
From the road now,
Like a mud
which means
slide.
from base camp you can see the road. There used to be a wall of mimosa
Yeah,
here.
lots of kids turning up.
So just here we put some basic retention lines with the slope that goes towards the pond.
I think it was called Rocky Road.
As you can see, it's much clearer now. The sun shines through.
Oh no, Crocky Trail.
The grass is growing much taller and green, and the whole area has just looks very nice now. Now that we have some time and this project is finished, let's go help the neighbors seed some potatoes.
Yeah, this they could basically build something like this. So it's literally a bunch of like swamp-like adventure trails with tiny photos, okay, with a bunch of like slides and things. Yeah, it's called the Crocky Trail. Oh, they've got this. So they've got a bridge. They've got swings, pole swing, rope swing, maze. Yeah, so they should do something like this. But then that would mean that they would be attracting more people, so that's probably not a good thing to do. Because they don't want more people to come to the camp.
Every year, we help our Portuguese neighbors to plant their potatoes. It is really nice to be able to help them and learn their old techniques. Even though they use these chemicals and it's not the kind of agriculture we are aiming. At least we get some knowledge for the future if we start to grow our own crops. So we're now in the field. We are going to have them to seed the potatoes and to put the earth on it. So the trenches are ready, and then we are going to basically put these seeds that are like half potatoes gathered already with sprouts on it, and then we cover them with the soil, and then we just need to wait until they grow again.
It's a far stretch from your machinery diggers. How much watching the Jeremy Clarkson farm stuff, so this is very different in comparison. Much more civilized, especially. Less drama.
Afternoon finished, job done. Por que se me patatas? Jak masz proces? ¿Qué tipo de patatas se me? ¿Qué tipo de patatas son?
Vermelha e branca.
¿Por qué eso?
Até porque é vermelha e branca.
So how much time now?
It's almost 3.5 months for take it off. For heat, you know.
It's hot to come.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Good job, eh? Yeah, I know. For heat. We look at now.
After helping our neighbors, they offered us something to eat and drink. While we have a chat with them, I want to remind you to support us on Patreon if you want to see the videos a week early and in 4K. Thank you for watching the video, subscribe to our channel, and see you in the next update.
How wholesome, eh? Beautifully wholesome. Yeah, I like watching those guys. I think it's probably because like there's a part of me that wants to own a farm or something, I think. Or at least likes the idea of, but then the reality of it wouldn't be actually that good. Because you have to wake up early, depending if you have animals or whatever. Let me see, what else have I got in my to-do, my watch list. I've got a bunch of my first million episodes to go through as well, but I won't bore you with the playing videos in the background. But, yeah. Hey, Tom. Right now I'm doing all those boring admin tasks. It actually is helpful to have something on in the background though. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, that would be fair, yeah. Good shout. Trying to find where I've caught up to, because I'm kind of like behind on the videos, so I'm like here. All right, my step-by-step process to build a $1 million+ business. Actually, what I'm going to do is switch it like this so I can comment along the side.
So Sam, I got a question for you. You have launched this business this year called Hampton, and I love the name. I love the brand. I go to the website. I love the website. More than anything, I love the idea. I'm jealous of this idea. Andrew Wilkinson said, I'm so jealous that I didn't start this idea. I feel like you got so much right. And I know that in doing any idea, whatever there's something called the idea maze. You go through, you wander around, you try to figure out the right path, and if you're lucky, you come out the other side with what you did with Hampton, where everything turned out right. What I want to know is, what were the other paths you considered but ended up saying no to along the way? Because nobody sees that stuff. That's on the cutting room floor. I want to know, I love the name Hampton. Were there other names that you thought about? And how did you pick that one? And what was that decision process? I want to know target market. I feel like you nailed the target market. You've nailed the value prop. Were there 3 other runner-ups that you considered that you didn't have? I kind of want to see what goes on underneath the surface before this beautiful execution comes out.
Well, first, thanks. You hopefully only see the good stuff. Obviously, there's all types of bad shit that happens on the back end where we're like, this sucks. But in general, it's been quite pleasant. So, dude, with this company, it's so funny. I purposely had on, we had guests that ran these types of companies, and I wanted to
be a doorstop around, like just talking business ideas. So this is my inspiration. So, all right, I'll turn it down.
Prove to everyone I'm going to do my research in front of people.
You left a paper trail, right?
You
left public breadcrumbs as exactly how you did this step by step. By the way, I love
this will be a better balance. So hopefully I'll be allowed.
What the blueprint is, and then you were like, cool, thanks.
Thanks. 1 2 1 2. There we go.
I didn't hide it from them. I told them.
launch. I'm thinking of launching something like this, and let's talk about it.
Right.
So there was nothing unethical or evil about this, but yeah, I wanted to do it publicly so people could see. So let me tell you first. So I sold the Hustle, I think in 22. Yeah.
Hustle was his like email newsletter.
And I had about 6 months or 8 months or 10 months, I forget, where I was just kind of fooling around and I was looking at different ideas. The 2 ideas that lost, I'm so thankful they lost. One, remember how I got super into Airbnbs? I was like, this is the thing, I could do this. So I bought one and I did it, and it did okay. But I was like, this sucks. I do not enjoy this. This isn't in my zone of genius. It's a pain in the ass.
And it seemed on paper like a good idea. You created this Facebook group of, I forgot what you called it, like Sam's short-term rental bros or whatever the hell you call it. What was
The
it?
STR crew.
The STR crew, short-term rental crew, and people piled in and they started explaining their blueprints. Like, yo, I own 40 Airbnbs. They make this much cash flow. Here's the pain points. Here's the plus sides. This other guy's like, oh, I do the same thing with this angle. And I was like, dude, this is fascinating. Sam's doing his research again in public. And you were wandering around the idea maze. You're like, maybe it's
The
over
whole
here.
community-driven stuff is.
And it kind of seemed like a good idea on paper, but you ended up.
Then you can sell products to
It
them.
wasn't a good idea for me. It is a profitable thing, whatever. It was cool. The second thing that I thought about doing was I thought about creating. I've always wanted to create a trucking business. I'm passionate about truckers. I'm passionate about blue collar workers. My family, I grew up in a trucking family, so they work in that industry. And so I was like, I'm gonna become a YouTuber and I'm gonna create an audience of truckers, and then I'm gonna build a product for them. And then I started like doing it, and I was like, no, hate this. I'm not gonna do it.
I love the idea of blue collar workers.
Yeah, I like the idea of it.
Being amongst that.
Yeah, it's like getting a neck tattoo. It's like the idea of it's kind of neat, but I don't know if I actually want it. And so then I was like, look, we had this thing called Trends at the Hustle, and I got a lot wrong, and I love the business model still. I think I can do this. And my partner, my now business partner, and I, we had like basically a therapy group where we would like bitch and complain about everything going on. And we're like, I settled on that product.
You built the product, launched it, did not use your audience initially publicly. You didn't use the podcast to promote it initially. Maybe your brand name helped in private, but you didn't do it publicly. And you drove it to millions of dollars in revenue. Very early on. So a very successful thing that everybody listening to this podcast kind of wants that outcome. So you know, you're a walking case study. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Hampton's a peer group. So some people call it a community, I call it a peer group. Basically, there's
clever.
So you have an 8-person group that have
Peer group is a nice touch. I'll write that down. Peer group rather than community.
Catch and be awesome, but I have a 6-person or 8-person group that's freaking awesome, and we'll do everything like you. Someone will make a presentation for every meeting, and they'll say like, here's my portfolio, here's my net worth. Can you guys tell me what am I doing wrong?
And essentially, this is like the meetings. The meetings create themselves, right? Peer group, not community. If they get somebody to run it all the time, then they produce themselves. It's like having an interview. You don't need to. All you have to do is come up with 5 questions, and then you have like a half an hour video, don't you? You just ask some questions, get them to run.
So that's part 1. Part 2, we have a digital community where you can like post in there and see what people are saying, and you'd like, hey, I'm trying to hire a nanny. What are your guys' best advice for agencies to use in the Northeast? Things like that. You can do personal stuff, not personal stuff. The third thing is events. I think we host 200 events a year at this point, including retreat, all these types of things. So it's highly inspired by Chief, YPO, Vistage. These are large companies that are in the space. So that's the business. Originally, I was trying to go after marketing executives and then just executives in general. Dude, I did 50 to 70 meetings with people trying to convince them to join. And none of them wanted it.
Hello, dear marketing executive.
Yeah, anyway.
So goes your marketing today.
No one fucking wanted it. I couldn't, and then eventually I was like, I need to charge like around 10 grand a year in order to make this like a viable business. No one fucking wanted it. They were willing to pay $500, and I created a group that was actually $500, and I was like, dude, this sucks. I can't do this. And then we were like, should we do doctors? Doctors would be cool. But like, what the fuck? I don't know anything about doctors. I tried to get in touch with a ton, and like no one wanted it. And then I was like, Fortune 500 CEOs. Same problem. Like, how do I get in touch with a Fortune 500 CEO? Like, I don't know one. Like, it is really hard. And then
ideas that sound good on paper, but as soon as they came into contact with reality, they got punched in the face, and they ran over the nosebleeds.
Well, this one really punched me in the face. The next one we thought about minorities. We're like, you know, my wife is a minority, and I like hear a little bit of the things that she goes through. I'm like, I should create this. And then I looked in the mirror, and I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. I'm the opposite of a minority.
This is gonna look great on paper. But
yeah,
the old reflection.
But then look in the mirror. Yeah.
I remember when you told me that idea, and I was like, dude, honestly, it's a great idea. I think it's an underserved community. I think they want that career development. I think that makes sense. And I was like, dude, what are you gonna do when you're like, hey, I was like, you know, I can have Sarah be the CEO. Like, what are you gonna do? And you're like, I'm this white man who's running this. Like, I don't know, possible, but like, I don't know.
If you Google the word white bread, you're gonna see a picture of Sam Parr. Like, it would not have worked.
There's a reason your nickname is the Vanilla Gorilla. Okay,
yeah, it wasn't gonna work. And then my partner was like, dude, let's just go after CEOs. He'd been saying this whole time. I'm like, they will never pay for this. But all along, some people had heard rumors I was launching this, so they asked me, like, can you do this for us? And
I wonder how much they actually pay for his group.
That obviously was the right decision. But by the way, I did a ton of research. So I interviewed a ton of members of all these different groups, and they're like, I'm a tech guy, but it's all like guys who own like 18 apartment buildings in South Florida in my group. It kind of sucks. Like, I love them, but we don't like align on business.
Well, it just sounds like it's better founder fit, right? Like, you know, it's who our audience is on this podcast. It's where you had a reputation. It's where you knew the relatable pain points. You knew where to reach them because you knew where you hang out. It's like way better founder fit.
It was so much easier. It was way easier. All right, everyone, a quick break to tell you about HubSpot, and this one's really easy.
And this is where I skip.
So I've got this company called Hampton, joinhampton.com. It's a community for founders doing between $2 million all the way up to like $250 million a year in revenue. And one of the ways that so you can check it out, HubSpot. Let's talk about the names. Here's a good story about the names. So the company's called Hampton. A lot of people think that means the Hamptons. Up until I was like 27, I didn't know what the Hamptons were. I read about it in like The Great Gatsby. I thought like it was like that. I didn't even know what it was until I married a woman from that area and I learned about it. So what I do is all of my LLCs are named after streets in my neighborhood of St. Louis. And there's a lot of really good names for some reason. And so I just usually look at the map of where I'm from and I just look at the names. So let me tell you some names that I thought about naming it. None of these really fit, but they could fit for other things. Number 1 is Macklin. I love that name. So at one point I thought about having the Macklin Running Club. The second one is Sublette. I've always liked Sublette. The third one was Simpson. That was a street I grew up near. And the last one, check this out, Kings Highway. Is Kings Highway awesome? I love Kings Highway. I love Kings Highway. And then eventually we settled on Hampton because I grew up near Hampton Avenue, and everyone thinks that it means the Hamptons. It doesn't. It means Hampton. And so sometimes people will say like, "Oh, I love the Hamptons," referring to my company. And I'm like, "No, it's Hampton." So we settled on Hampton because that had a good sound to it.
By the way, can you tell me in deciding a name, is that like a 1-day process, a 1-hour process, a 1-month process for you?
Street names.
What feels right in my soul? Like, what is the actual way a name gets picked for you?
I I only ask like 3 people. Usually it's my wife, my business partner, and that's about it.
3 people, but actually there's only 2. Even better.
Name 2. And my royal we. No, I don't really ask too many people because I just don't care that much. Like I just want to like hear someone's gut opinion. But and also Hampton.com. I don't think I'm ever gonna get. You know who owns that is Marriott.
Yeah, the Hampton Inn, yeah.
So I don't know if I'm ever gonna get that. But check this out with branding. If you asked me about this 5 or 10 years ago, I'd never in a million years thought this was important, but I actually do. I hired a branding agency. So I paid $15,000 right out the gate. And what I did was, and I sent this to you.
So crazy.
And it just says one line. It says elite but cheeky. And the reason I was inspired by that was, have you ever read Felix Dennis's book?
Yes.
How to Get Rich? Yes. So Felix Dennis is this famous entrepreneur. He's dead now, but he was a wild guy. He was basically a combination of Richard Branson.
Not read that.
So he had like swagger, but he was like a legit business guy. But he was like elite in that he was great at what he does, but he was like a silly person and he wrote in a very conversational way. And I love that. And so when I wrote out this branding,
How to Get Rich, Felix Dennis.
Whatever. And then what I did was I listed a ton of ads that I liked. So there's a bunch of advertisements from the 70s. That's one of my favorite eras for ads. And I found a bunch of GQ ads, Porsche ads, and Rolex ads. Like Rolex had this famous series of ads called "The Men Who Built the World Wear Rolex," and they would do like a really cool expose on like an astronaut, and you can see the astronaut, he's wearing a Rolex. Or Dwight Eisenhower, the president of the United States, he's got a Rolex, and it's "The Men Who Build America are wearing a Rolex." And then there's one with a Wall Street Journal where it says "Money Talks, we translate," and it's just this beautiful imagery. And so I took that imagery, and then I took the color British Racing Green. You know what British Racing Green is? I mean, it's the Hampton colors, but it's like a famous color from like Land Rover and Jaguar. It's like these British racing colors that I love, and I thought that because like when I think of a Land Rover.
Funnily enough, he was talking about Rolex when I did when I've done my stuff. I'll just show you this quickly. I took the Rolex kind of style for my 6-figure academy. Because all the riffs that I was doing around colors and stuff, I've always settled with the whole green and gold. If this Figma file loads up, I'll show you. I'm loading it in a separate window. So. Ooh, it's taking a long time. Do I reload before it finishes? Just to see if I get it quicker. Is Figma not working? Cool. This is loading up so slowly. Okay. Well, I'll come back to it.
Jaguar, what do you got there? There you go. That's almost so. I freaking love that color. That's my favorite color. I've got motorcycle or a Range Rover or Jaguar. What do you got there? There you go.
Oh yeah.
That's almost so.
Oh, that's more like
that's my favorite
teal-y
color.
type.
Motorcycles in that color. I've had a car in that color. It's my favorite color. And I took that color and I'm like, we have to make the brand feel like these ads, but be that color. And I wrote a bunch of sentences that I would want on the website. And that's how we selected the branding. And dude, hiring a branding agency is like a total hack.
What are some things along the way of making Hampton that you could have done, but you said no to? And in retrospect, maybe it was a good idea, bad idea. You don't know how it worked out. But like, what were the no's? Because we can only see what you said yes to. We can see the name you chose. You told us what name you said no to. We can see the color you chose. What were the things you said no to along the way? Was there anything else that was like a path you considered?
Here's 2 really big ones. So Hampton gets, let's just say, these aren't the exact numbers, but we'll use them, roughly 100 people a day who apply. We accept a fraction of that. And my partner, Joe and I, we watch, so in order to get Hampton to interview, we watch 100% of the interviews, and we are the only people who click approve or deny. That is it. It was us 2. That is our job, is to watch 100% of the interviews.
So you said no to delegating that out.
We said no to delegating that out. And we also, here's what sucks. Is we turn down so many people, and it's like we're turning down so much revenue, and it fucking kills me. I'm like adding up the numbers. When you ask me, so Chief.com, it's like this business, I guess we're like them, but they're for women executives. You know why they grew so fast? They grew to 100 million in revenue in 4 or 5 years. They let in 100% of the people who apply in the interview. We don't. And it fucking kills me. I see all this missed revenue, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, so a lot of people, we talked about this, but Kingsford charcoal was invented because Ford had all this extra wood.
I wonder if there's some way to target the people that they don't let in. And sell them a second group that's better than the Hamptons. We'll call it Hamptons plural.
Basically, we're only focusing on CEOs of this demographic, of this type of business, and we're only going to do that until we say otherwise, and there's no time in the near future that we intend to say otherwise.
Well, let me tell you 2 things I think you could be doing. I'm going to give you 2 ideas I think you maybe should have said yes to. Number 1, I think if I go to your website right now, I don't see that you say no to that many people, or that there's a how heavy the curation is.
Yeah, there should be like a percentage or something.
No, they're really actually curating the community. These are actually high quality people. Founders watch every single interview. They accept it. Less than 1% of people. They have a counter on their website. How many people they said no to, or how much revenue they've said no to, in order to make the community solid, because that comes first. And we put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah, this is their site.
Maybe it's too vulgar, but like, I think you could use that. The second thing.
You got the elite part right. Now we have to make it cheeky.
yeah, exactly. I just went elite douchey, so I don't know. We gotta work on the other part.
Should be like, will you make it? Only 1% of things.
Do you value a founding story in, or like the founder story, the founding story of the company? Do you think that's important or useful?
I think that's incredibly important, and I think I made a mistake because I wanted to make this not the Sam.
Okay, the form.
I think I screwed up. I think I should have leaned into that. I think the way it works, I did this with the hustle. You can founder can be the company or be the face for a period of time, and you can phase it out.
This
And
is
with
still
this, I
not
was like,
loading.
I'm not going to be it, and I screwed that up.
Yeah, I think you should lean into that because those situations where you don't want the founder to be the face and the reason to join is when the founder has to deliver the service. It's like the law firm or the specialty marketing exec. It's like, oh, this guy's great, but oh, now I'm handing off to some junior person, they're doing my marketing. I want that guy on my account. Whereas with this, you don't have to be the account. You're not delivering the actual service. So I think you can use it because the true founding story is that's how we met. We made a peer group in San Francisco when we didn't know shit, when we were running our companies, and it was our companies could fail or succeed. And in that group came $1 billion company, a $100 million company, a $30 million company, two failures, but one best man at your wedding, and a friend who ended up investing in their thing, and that came out of that. And then this podcast came out of that, which then has become one of the top business podcasts, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's actually almost like your founding story as an entrepreneur and helped you when you actually sold the hustle successfully. So I remember in our peer groups, it was like, I'm going to do the hustle. It was an events business. Then, no, next month. It was not an events business. It's a blog business.
You said something that stuck with me, and it was
pissed you off.
No, because you weren't wrong. You were right in that I couldn't build a huge company that way, but you were wrong in that I don't have to build a huge company in order to achieve my goals, which was you go, dude, you're showing up to this fight, you're showing up to this knife fight, which is a knife. I don't even want you to have a gun. You need to have a magic fucking wand. And I was like, well, you're not wrong. That would be nice to have that, but I don't. And so until then, we're using our fists.
In Silicon Valley, if you go pitch for investors, you're basically making a promise it's going to be $1 billion company. So I was like, I don't think it's going to be $1 billion company. What I didn't know is you were like, I'm not trying to build $1 billion company. I'm trying to build a company that makes me X millions of dollars and I can do it. It can actually do that. And that would change my life and be fucking awesome, which is a different pitch.
So you were right, but where I was wrong was I shouldn't have aimed for that from the get-go.
Right.
But you were correct.
But so I think maybe using a founding story would be helpful for you because it's genuine. That's actually the origin of I think a lot of this is like first-hand experience, how the peer group helped you, and how blah blah blah, and then how it also leads to all these other things. That group became one guy's like a groomsman at your wedding, another guy becomes an investment you make down the road, blah blah blah. Like that's kind of how these tend to work. So anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Well, thank you. Have you ever used a branding agency?
I used a guy for the Milk Road. He's an agency, but it's like one guy.
Which I think you actually nailed. I think you nailed that, to be honest.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It was a cool experience. It definitely felt so indulgent. It's like, and now I'm going to take a break from my zero revenue business.
It's because these guys are copywriting guys, right? Rather than visual guys, maybe. But copywriting is still part of the branding, so.
Shut up, you idiot. You go build your business. But what we did, the trade-off we did was, we actually, with Milk Road, we wanted to do a brand right away, and we said, let's reward ourselves with a brand when we get to, I think we said 100,000 subscribers on the list. And I said, today we're going to make the brand. But when we get to 100,000, then we'll know, like, we can always rebrand, we can polish up. That's what we did to reward ourselves. I think in the future, I would probably use an agency if I'm confident about the idea. It's also just like, I don't know, it's a luxury item. It's not a necessity, but it's a luxury. I think for some things, it is a necessity. Like if you're an e-commerce brand or something, you got to get your brand right.
And another thing that I thought was the dumbest thing ever, but I think could be cool, a naming agency.
I used a naming agency once.
I find a lot of value in that now. I think that it's like most agencies where a lot will suck, but I actually think that could be quite valuable. What naming? How much of the naming agency?
This is one of my naming rookie businesses. I hired a naming agency once. I paid them $25,000.
This is really interesting. I've seen this happen in branding agency. They just put they put like product names in it as well, and sometimes the product names are a bit whack. But surely you can just like create. You could probably create an AI tool that could do this. There's probably a bunch of them similar to like band names and whatever. I did think about creating that for Insider, like a band name generator, but it'd need to be like decent because you'd have like some sort of like tell me about your band, and then off the back of that it comes up with like 5 names or 5 name suggestions that you do. But it'd have to be something more interesting than just like random. It'd be like tell me about your members, or like your favorite music genre, or something like things you like. Because if you did like an emo band, then it could say like emo thematic stuff, like bat wings or whatever. But, or if you gave me like music that you like, it would come up with something. Yeah, maybe it should be that. Like you come up with a band name because you say what music are you into, what genre, and give me some of your lyrics or whatever, and then it'd come up with your name. Interesting.
A lot of money. And they came in. Now, let me tell you a couple things about them that's interesting. One, the people who work at a naming agency are actually awesome. Somebody who is drawn to that is a super interesting person, and actually the move is to go vet branding agencies.
That would make sense. Really creative people.
Come over, just come and help you. That's what I should have done.
And just the audacity that they think that they could just name something.
They think that could be the job. Who do you think you are? It's like, that's crazy. So they come in, and there's 3 of them. I'm like, it takes 3 to do this? Oh my God. And so the 3 of them come in, and they sit down, and they say, so tell me about the company. And when I tell you I've never felt this much pressure in a pitch, because I'm like, this isn't pitching for an investor or a customer. I'm like, I need to give these creatives, because creative people like that, they're very skeptical. They see a bunch of corporate BS. It's like, I need to be cool and so clear, and I need to capture the essence inside this business. I can't see the surface. That's what they want. They were like, yeah, but what is it? And you're like, I just told you what it is. What do you mean, what is it? So anyways, I have this conversation with them, and then I'm like, this guy's process. And so I leave the room. I come back in.
This comes with the whole like, if you were a color, what color would you be? And if you were a feeling, what feeling would you be? And if you were a climate, what climate would you be? And that kind of like random stuff.
In the middle of the room, he's moved our table to the side. He's sitting in his hollow floor with a white. I took our whiteboard, put it on the ground, and he's writing long sentences. And I'm like, this is not names. Like, this is like paragraphs. What are you doing? and he's just writing out almost in first person. This was awesome, actually. He's writing out in first person. I think we were doing a dating app at the time, so he was helping us with a dating app. He was just writing out like from first person, almost venting as the customer. He's like, I don't download a dating app. I download dating apps, all of them, every single one of them. It's embarrassing. And he's like, I've tried them all. I use them all, and I hate them all. But I use them. I hate using them. And he's like, I hate them because it's mostly me sitting there sending out messages that are not getting replies. And then the next message I send, I know this is probably not going to reply. That's a pretty hopeless feeling. At least if I go to a girl at a bar, she rejects me to my face. Online, cowards. These women are cowards. And he's like, they don't even reply. Well, so then he's just venting. He's like, and he's scratching stuff out. He's like, no, that's not really true. But it was almost like slam poetry. It's like he was trying to like almost get into the feeling of the problem and then the solution. And he was doing it not in a business planning way, but I really actually like that process, and I kind of hijacked that. So I paid a very expensive $25K to learn that one process, which is actually very useful as a copywriter to like get to the essence of like what you're trying to do. The name ended up sucking, and like they did all these extra things. They would be like, they put out these flashcards that were like Branson, Elon Musk, Einstein. They're like, pick two that you think fit, and then they'd be like Corvette, Rolex, Louis Vuitton, blah blah. Pick two, and I'm like, dude, what is this personality quiz? And I was just like, I hated the whole process, and then whatever. The name was whatever it was. I don't even remember.
What was the name? You don't even remember the name?
I'm sorry, it's a very unsatisfying ending to it, but
how do you not remember the name that they picked?
that's c'est la vie.
And this is it. You can get away with that, right? If what did he say? Did you spend 15,000, or was that 15,000 on a branding thing? But yeah, let's say you said $5,000 on a name. But to be honest, if you land a perfect name, a really really good name, and you use it forever, then it's great. But I think what's frustrating, if you use a branding agency and you end up coming up with the name, you'd still get charged $5,000 because you facilitated them coming up with the name, right? If the client came up with the name. But yeah, interesting. I don't bother paying for branding for name stuff. I think just Google around and be inspired by different ideas. I enjoy riffing myself, to be honest, on different business names.
That's what you should call the fucking app.
The app like failed by the time they gave us the name. We were like, oh, this is a stupid idea. We don't know how to do this app. Let's move on.
I still think it's worth it, by the way. I still think it's worth it. I think that's a lot of money, though. $25,000 is a lot. I think I could see 15,000.
Yeah, it's hard though. Once you start to fall into that hole, you're like, well, do I want the best brand or just a mediocre brand? Like, how much is my brand gonna be worth? Is it not worth an extra $5K? It's very hard to say no.
Dude, that's ridiculous. Is that the pod?
Well, let's recap real quick. You did your research in public. It took you 5 false starts on figuring out who was the customer, and the way you did it was you had an idea that sounded good in theory, and then you went and tried to contact them and be like, you want this, and then you got like punched in the face 5 times, and then one of them looked great, but then like no founder fit, and you settled on what was probably the obvious idea. That's like the first takeaway. Second takeaway, your name is awesome. The name is awesome, but you use streets around you. Okay, I don't know if anyone else wants to copy that. Mine would be Grand Floral Boulevard, which I don't think is gonna make for a great startup name.
That's a bunch of good names, too.
Well, that's why I used to live as a kid. I think we should show the deck that you made for the branding agency, because this is not what they gave you. This is what you gave them to get a good output. You know, because garbage in, garbage out. If you give bad instructions or bad prompt, you're gonna get bad result on the brand. So I think that's cool to show. And I think maybe one other thing that I think people take away is using a founder story. I think a founder story is very powerful.
And I think I need to fix that. So I just got like $25,000 worth of advice for free. So that's good. I appreciate that.
You got my Venmo.
All right, is that it? Is that the pod?
That's it. That's fine.
So this is his doc that they were sharing. Bunch of screenshots. Yes, finally. Cool. So over here, when I was riffing on different colors, and I kind of like settled on the similar like Rolex type green, like green and gold, green and yellow, and then I've gone with like this like leather texture in the background. Yeah, these are my vertical things I'm working on. I want to do a vertical live stream, but I've not got there yet. But yeah, I also wanted to play down the whole like golfy type thing with this like Happy Gilmore type script type text as well. Cool. Right. I've got to jump into a meeting, so I'll be back. Free. So join now, because then you won't have to pay.
And then there'll be like this Indiana Jones where the doors close, where a couple of people slide underneath and
where that rolling rock is coming after you. Yeah, definitely. And I think building a community is another skill set that I'd like to try. A lot of these things that we do are kind of like outward facing. So building something where you have that interaction, like you and I have done coaching calls and stuff, and having that like one-to-one or group, being able to see somebody further things along. Like one of my friends, he wanted to start YouTube videos and explain things in really simple terms and simple kind of like concepts to people. And he has a YouTube channel. Now I was like, cool, like when's your first video coming out? He's not done his first video yet, but I spotted that he followed me, subscribed to my channel. And I'm like, oh, this is really exciting. You have the channel and it's named the correct name. You don't have any videos yet, but like that's one step of many steps. Like to build a wall, heck, you need the first brick, don't you? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, that was really exciting to see. So I think I buzz off other people pushing themselves and getting out there, because I'm trying to do that for myself. So why not have a bit of company along the way? So that's my community one.
Oh, is that a wrap, or is there any other? I can't remember.
I think that is a wrap. One thing I would just say is, if you haven't subscribed to Don't Be a Doorstop, please do. It'd be also great if you can like the video, because that always helps getting ourselves out there for a little bit more. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Tom's channel, go over and subscribe to him, and also my channel. And if you want to go into the, if you want to push yourself and get into the Six Figure Academy while it's free, there'll also be a link in the description for you. And that's it. So as always, keep hammering those nails. Bye for now. Bye. Number 1, Prime Bottle Story. Number 2, Beta Squad. Number 3, New York Times being a games company. What do you want to start with?
I feel like we should have one of those things, those ticker things that you press it and it just picks whatever you want. Let's go. So we're jumping in. Does it work this time?
It actually has. I think the intricacy is, I have to be on the call, and then when the guest joins, it then becomes the way. Yeah. I'm trialing.
Being in Amsterdam?
Basically, my monitors.
In Amsterdam?
Yeah. I'm trialing not being in Amsterdam, but darkened room, close the curtains kind of thing. Have 2 lights side by side, and then if my monitor is a particular color, as in like I have a color on the monitor, then it will highlight something from the screen, as it were. Because obviously white lights, bright lights. So if I have the monitor this like plain white background type thing, then obviously it changes the reflection from the monitor. So then it looks a bit more like subtle, basically, rather than it being entirely pink. So I was just like trialing with that to mix it up. Because otherwise I look like I'm a beetroot faced kind of thing with all this like pink. But
also I've gambled,
but I also don't get why there's still pink, because it's not pink. But yeah, it's one of those things.
Is any of your lights pink?
This one to my left is purple, and then one to the right is blue. But if I change it to blue, maybe that'll be... Oh, I'm changing the wrong one, that's why. If I change this one to a lighter color... Oh, no, I'll change that to purple. I'll change this to blue. And then I do have this one, but it's too bright. It's too much. It's too bright. So I'm going to go off with that. And also I'm going to close this.
So I'm intrigued to know, can you hear the wind and the birds singing? Is it literally picking up everything as I'm in the garage, aka building up the man cave?
No, I can't hear anything.
Oh, sweet.
Which is impressive.
Must be I'm hearing it through my headphones.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm in my garage with, luckily, there's a window opposite me, so that's pretty much doing all the lighting. And there's one light above me, because I've not bothered putting any lights in here just yet to highlight anything. And then my green screen is on this side, but I thought I'll have a bit of texture behind me instead.
To add to it. Yeah. Well, I have many items to discuss today, which is a good one. But
coming in hot.
Behind the scenes, I want to tell you about Diddly Squat, and then obviously in the real thing, I'll tell you about the other stuff that's been going on. So, went to Diddly Squat, which is recap, somewhere just like 20 minutes out of Chipping Norton, or maybe even less than that. Jeremy Clarkson has a farm that he bought, which is like 20 odd acres or something. He's been doing a documentary on Amazon Prime for the last 2 seasons of him and his like farm manager, Caleb, and another guy, which is like his business advisor, and showing a behind the scenes of farming and the fact that farming is changing drastically, and therefore it's much, much harder to actually make a profit from all the investment that you do. So he has a farm shop. I went to the farm shop with Kimmer, and the queue was huge, a massive hour-long queue to get into the shop. So I didn't bother going into the shop, but pulled into the car park, took photos near the sign, and just like had a walk around to see what was what. It was actually quite cool to see it. And then all of a sudden, I think I must have posted it in the WhatsApp, and then all of a sudden I see people on Facebook. Other people have been to, like, friends or connections of mine have been to like the Diddley Squat Farm in the last few days also. So I kind of like, I appreciate Facebook listening to me sometimes, but not all the time, because then you're like, this person also went there 4 days ago. And it's like, cool, bro, like do something more intelligent, do something more interesting. So I thought that was funny, but it was cool to go and see it. So they're selling burgers, and they've got beer like pumps and stuff. So there's people eating and drinking, and then there's an hour-long queue. Well, there was a queue for that too, and then there's an hour-long queue to get into the shop.
So were you selling fake merch before getting the real merch in the shop?
No, but it does make you think about like these celebs that do this stuff. They almost need a bigger setup. You know how Primark have this like queuing thing where you're all in one massive snaked queue, and you're queuing one by one to like whichever like checkout is available to you. I'm like, you almost need like a huge setup like that. But of course, he's had lots of run-ins with the council and stuff about the council trying to restrict.
Is it the same door
him doing
going
things.
in as going out?
No, so they have a little rotation, but it's as if like, just think of it as like 2 garages, right? The garage on the left has a door, the garage on the right has a door. You walk in one end, you go and you pay, and you come out the other end. So it's not large, it's not that big at all. But yeah, you want that like
so
quick turnaround, or whether or not, because also as well, things sell out, right? So if you go into the shop, you might have sold out. So you can't even like advertise what's in the shop necessarily, unless you had like digital advertising to be like, these are the things in the shop.
Stream.
So you're then mindful of what you want to come in. Yeah, live streaming. And like, we've only got 4 eggs left. We only have like, 4 honey jars left or whatever. But
Just have,
I think it's a
have
very
an online bidding
thing.
war for anyone that's stuck in the queue. I want to pay 20 quid for that 1 egg.
Yeah, maybe you could buy it in the queue, and then you're basically walking around the shop and it's just for show, and then you pick it up and collect it. But yeah, it would lose its kind of like feeling, right, of like going there and like having that
round the corner.
like,
There's a
buying
Tesco,
milk
really,
or whatever.
they're just coming out of and handing at you.
Yeah, it's like an under the ground. There's a sheet where Tesco's actually brings it up. So yeah, you would notice because it's all branded. Like his stuff is branded in a funny way. But yeah, I thought that was cool. So yeah,
I guess
I
the
would,
question is, was it what you thought it was going to be? Because obviously seeing it online, some people will think it's bigger or smaller or different. Was it what you anticipated or not, and why?
Yes, it is exactly what I anticipated. And now I know why the shop is closed on Monday and Tuesday, because you wouldn't be able to film anything if you had this many people queued up, like while you're trying to film in the shop. So every time they film in the shop, nobody's in the shop, and it's just his wife or his partner or whatever, like behind the counter, right? Like that's not the case. Like when I went there, it was like 3 youngsters kind of like serving kind of thing, right? So obviously they can change it up when there's not like thousands of people queuing up. And thankfully it was dry. And the parking situation, funny enough, like the parking situation is difficult because people, you drive in and then you can go round, right? They have no signs to direct you which way to go. So there's one lady stood in this high-vis jacket saying like, go this way. But because people are visiting from all the different walks of life, all different countries and so forth, people are like driving the wrong way.
Okay.
So you'll get like caught with a car trying to get out when you're trying to go round to like get out. So yeah, the parking situation needs a bit of adjustment of just like signage. But overall, it was a good experience. Cool to go there. Bucket list of kind of like, cool, I've been there, I've seen what it's like. It's cool. And I couldn't see, so you've watched it enough to see that he does like an actual restaurant, right? Like further out in the field. I think I could see that building, but I'm not sure if it was that one. But yeah, it was very cool.
I really hope you can't hear this bird that has pretty much started to dance on the roof.
No, I can't hear anything. A lot of the time, it'll be like the AI remove the noise of dancing birds anyway. So
that might be entertainment. Highest viewership.
Yeah, the dancing seagull. That goes back to our, dancing cat OnlyFans. Anyway, let's jump straight into it so we can keep our behind the scenes stuff. Just before I share the start the next video, I wanted to show you our to-do list. So this is the One Thing app, which is basically a web-based app and an iOS and Android app to do a task, one task at a time. So if you add in a task, let's say edit latest vlog or video, I don't do vlogs, and if I add it to my list, it then becomes my one task, and I have many different tasks and I can align them. And basically this, once I've done it, I tick yes, and I've put in my own custom like rewards, because it's important to reward yourself. I do have a quick skip if I want to do it something quickly, but let's say I go and grab a snack, I press tick, and then it's cool, go and enjoy the snack. So I can go off, come back, and then click tick, and then it's basically to the next task. So that's theonetaskapp.com. It's also in the App Store if you want to download as well. Right, now back to our regular programming. Greg was on one of the My First Million episodes, I think, and then I noticed that he was doing live streams of ideas, which I thought was really good, where he'd just have people phone in, share their ideas, and he would say whether or not it was good or bad, and also give his feedback on it, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I think this is maybe one video from the live stream, but let's see what he's got to say.
When you build a service-based business,
let's go right back to the
here's
start.
Where I think service-based businesses are going to go. When you build a service-based business, think of like a design agency or an SEO shop or something like that. Number one, you start with humans doing the work. And then number two, you transition from humans doing 100% of the work to AI assisted.
It's just the intro, I think.
And then step three, you transition to agents do all the work. Once you get to step three, the margins are going to 3, 4, or 5x. Instead of making 20% EBITDA, you might be able to make 60% EBITDA, 80% EBITDA. And the reason why is because you're paying tokens and you're getting agents to do the work. And this might be in 5 years, and this might be in 7 years or 3 years. But the point is, if they can get there and you've built up all the systems and processes and client base, then you're going to be in a really, really good place. So
I think he also did some like SIP or something. So if he'd like the idea, he would SIP it. I didn't realize that SIP is the Startup Ideas podcast, isn't it?
Let's get right into it. So I want to start off with a trend, and I'll give you some ideas for this trend. So recently I got married, and my wedding was different than most people's wedding. A lot of people have weddings, and they've got 100 of their closest friends and families there. I had a wedding, and there was 14 people there, and that was including me and my wife. So weddings are changing. You know, people don't want to spend thousands of dollars on weddings. They want to do something small. They want to do something intimate, and that leads me to my trend of the week, which is micro weddings. So what is a micro wedding? I think we need to just define it. So it basically means a wedding with less than 50 people. It's just way more intimate, and it's especially big in places like New York, LA, Miami, where the cost per wedding guest could be more than $1,000 per guest. So it's absolutely out of control. This is obviously due to inflation, and over the last few years, it just got out of hand. So okay, so this is the trend. I think a lot of you are probably nodding your head and being like, of course, this makes a lot of sense. How can I create a business on top of this trend? So idea number one is just lead gen. So there's a bunch of small venues that haven't they're not really set up for micro weddings, and the biggest challenge of that is these small venues are don't have the visibility, they have smaller marketing budgets, and then they probably just don't know that this trend is happening. So you could go and just bridge the gap. So, I just Googled here, micro wedding Los Angeles, and I saw that there was actually a sponsored link called intimatemountainweddings.com, so great domain, good SEO. And as the search volume starts to increase, if people become aware that micro wedding is a thing, traffic's going to go up. So how can you operate this idea as a service? So, step one.
Hang on. So what was that? Where was that? United States micro wedding. Let's What time period did he do that for? 5 years, United States. Yeah, it's not really happening. It's not really happening in the UK in comparison. Yeah, web search, all categories. Yeah, far more progressive. What's this? Okay, they changed the way the data was collection. Yeah, this rarely happens. I think we're kind of used to having smaller weddings generally anyway. But interesting micro wedding packages.
Traffic's going to go up. So how can you operate this idea as a service? So step one is you just got to form the partnerships agreement. So you go to these wedding venues and you basically say, hey, I'm going to send you a bunch of leads for your micro wedding, and then would you be willing to give me 10%, 5%, 20% of a booking that's made for your platform? It's like a win-win situation for the small venue. And a lot of these venues, they're hanging on by a thread. They want more revenue. Then you're gonna step 2 is just to implement SEO and advertising. So you're gonna generate traffic mostly by search. So the bet here is that more and more people are gonna search it. You're gonna show up, and then you could obviously do a little bit of ad arbitrage. What is ad arbitrage? That just basically means when you're spending $2 a click, but the average click gives you $3. Create this vending machine where you put $2 in, $3 comes out. So that's where you're gonna mainly focus. Of course, you can do content and building an audience around it, and just showcase these venues and showcase other weddings. That's definitely a given. So I would say implement SEO, advertising, and build an audience. And then step 3 is specialize and promote. So I would say become the micro wedding market gal or guy. Once you position yourself as that person, and I think that's ripe for the taking, you're going to earn more trust. And the hard part about something like this is it is a new market, and whenever you have a new market, you have to educate people why this should exist. Everyone knows, oh, I just got engaged, I need to go and create a wedding. They don't know about the concept of a micro wedding, what that is, why it's better, why it's going to save you money, and why, if you forget all the money, it's just going to be a more intimate experience for the people that you love. So I think that there's tons of opportunity to own that category. And this is just like one of those low risk ideas. So idea number 2 in the micro wedding space is just helping plan. So offering comprehensive, all inclusive micro wedding packages that streamline the entire planning process. So I found this Reddit post. So here's the post: micro wedding in Southern California, LA County, 13 guests, $23,000. And they basically just go into this. This is a long one for those interested in the numbers. They talk about how the original wedding was supposed to take place in June 2020, but obviously because of COVID they couldn't do it. They talk about how much they paid in their deposit. They talked about the ceremony, basically the budget breakdown. So ceremony venue $2,000, dinner venue $3,500, partial planner $1,500. I guess it's a party planner, but only partially, which is kind of an interesting. That's a whole other niche to own. Like another idea right there is like a fractional partial party planner. Photographer.
Partial planner, isn't that just like kind of like a part-time planner? Who knows? But yeah.
You get the idea. Bottom line is it's $23,386, which obviously is a lot of money, but isn't $100,000, or isn't some people spend $1 million. So they just go into this, and you can see they talk about everything, and they break this all down. This is an incredible content piece. I would love to see. You could create a whole audience around breaking down different micro weddings. And then if you look in the comment section on Reddit,
one thing I do like is when there's somebody on TikTok or something when they break down incomes. And they basically outline their income, their outgoings, and what they have left in their investments and stuff. I always find those fascinating. See behind the scenes, as it were.
They're just so engaged. They're so appreciative of it. Hey, everyone. If you're anything like me, you've got a ton of design work that you need. Websites, landing pages, emails, social assets, you name it. But you don't just want beautiful landing pages or beautiful websites. You want the stuff that's going to convert. You want the stuff
his own
actually drive value.
company.
That's where and do stuff that design in the business. Here in the micro wedding space. So I see this and I'm like, okay, there's something here in the micro wedding space because they put it in the wedding planning subreddit, which has 829,000 members. And it went viral within that community. So, one thing you could do is you can create the subreddit for micro weddings. You can be that moderator. So that's just an idea for you. Okay, let's get back to the idea. So the idea is basically to create an agency, a wedding planning agency, but only focus on micro weddings. And there's one company that I was able to find that's doing it, and it's called Our Little Wedding. And I found it via that Reddit post. They're based in San Francisco. You can tell, there's basically a coming soon version of their website. So it's not exactly optimized, but you get the idea. There's these all-inclusive micro weddings that they sell, and it's, between $5,000 and $6,100. So here's one, the Bay Area Redwoods elopement. So it's an all-inclusive package, $5,000. You get a Mill Valley Amphitheater, private ceremony, 1 hour photography, personal florals. You get a dinner, a luxury reception, dinner celebration, cake and cake florals.
This is actually really interesting because like weddings, just like you start with a particular number and it stretches and you go over budget or whatever. So like having a fixed fee wedding, but this is like up to 6 guests. So yeah, you probably want more, but if you had like a fixed fee wedding for like 25 people or 100 people, that'd be really interesting.
Guests. So you get this beautiful background, super picturesque, Instagram friendly, and it's beautiful, it's intimate, and it's $5,000. So this is the type of thing that you can go and create. Idea number 2 is you just go and organize these packages, build brands around it, and capitalize on the micro wedding trend. So that's my trend of the week, micro weddings. I love it for a lot of reasons. Like I mentioned, validated on Reddit, offshoot of a particular subreddit. You're starting to see little businesses pop up. There's so many validated business models. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can do things like an agency, and then people are willing to spend on their weddings. So when you're creating a business, you obviously want to prioritize businesses where people are willing to take out their wallet. And this is something where people feel like they're saving money. If they're spending $5,000 on a wedding and they thought that they're going to spend $50,000, they're going to be pretty darn happy. So I love this. I love this concept for a lot of reasons. And I also think that as someone who had a micro wedding, I didn't even know it was called a micro wedding. But as someone who had a micro wedding, it was just an incredible experience and special in its own way. I feel like I'm 35 now, and a lot of my friends have gotten married, and it just sort of feels like by the end of like the last wedding, it almost felt like all these weddings were the same, and they were beautiful weddings in great places, and beautiful hotels, but they all had 100, 200, 300 people. They all had the same band. They all had the same sort of food. And I think this idea around micro weddings that are just also just unique experience. Like imagine getting married in the sequoias north of San Francisco, all these trees that they're hundreds of years old and they're as tall as skyscrapers. Like how cool is that? So love this trend and wanted to give it to you. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is just a insight I had around building businesses that are powered by human beings. And when I'm talking about building businesses, I'm talking about service-based businesses. Here's where I think service-based businesses are going to go. So when you build a service-based business, think of like a design agency or an SEO shop or something like that. You start with, number one, you start with humans doing the work. And then number two, it's you transition from humans doing 100% of the work to AI-assisted human work. And then step three, you transition to agents do all the work. And I think this is just an interesting framework and something I'm just thinking about and I want to share it with you around what are businesses that are going to translate into that framework. Because I think that once you get to step three, the margins are going to 3, 4, or 5x. Instead of making 20% EBITDA, you might be able to make 60% EBITDA, 80% EBITDA. And the reason why is because you're paying tokens and you're getting agents to do the work and people are expensive. There are certain industries where this probably won't happen. You know, we run an innovation design agency called LCA and, you know, we work with the Nikes and the Dropboxes and the Shopifys of the world and these large companies with, you know, with their executive team. They don't want AI to do all the work. And they also need someone to talk to and they need someone to brainstorm with and they need someone to jam with. So there are certain spaces where it doesn't make sense, but there are certain spaces where it does make sense. And I think that's sort of my homework for you and something to think about is what are service-based businesses that are most likely going to hit that number 3, get agents on board. And this might be in 5 years and this might be in 7 years or 3 years, but the point is if they can get there and you've built up all the systems and processes and client base, you know, in 5 years, then you're going to be in a really, really good place. So that's something that I've been thinking about.
I definitely think like the whole like ad creation, marketing stuff, like even coming up with strategies, it would make sense to have agents just producing generative ads and at mass scale, so you could have the mass personalization and all that stuff. So I would say probably because the whole like graphic design stuff makes sense if you were bashing out logos, but wouldn't necessarily work if you were doing websites and stuff. I don't think in the same way, because there's always so much input. Like you always need so much content from the client and so forth. But yeah, I mean there are services that do that. But yeah, I would probably say social, because I think having somebody to automate, especially because it's all data driven, would be interesting to see happen.
I've been doing these live streams where I've been bringing people on stage who have startup ideas who want my feedback. It's been really, really fun. And also people who just have a business and they're past the idea stage, like they've got something live and they want my feedback. So I'm going to share with you a couple of the ideas that were shared to me that I wasn't able to bring people on stage, and I'm going to give live feedback. And my hope here is it's going to get your creative juices flowing. It's going to help you get a bunch of startup ideas. And so let's get right into it. So Peter Gray messaged me. It says, here's the idea. It's called More Than Academy. It's an athlete-tailored entrepreneurial education startup. There will be online community networking, masterclass type videos, more formal LinkedIn type online courses for certificates and badges, and an in-person workshop primer series targeting at high school athletes with aspirations of being an athlete aimed at empowering student athletes, well, it's a lot of athletes, with the skills and mindset needed for both athletic and entrepreneurial success. The person workshops lead gen for the online community and online education. Our business would then lead gen potential clients for all the NIL agencies or organizations like athletes.org. Okay, so I'm not going to give you specific feedback on do athletes or aspiring athletes need this. I think they probably do, but I'm not one myself, so you would know better than me. But I'll give you feedback and give everyone feedback on a really big opportunity, which is credentialization. We're living in a world where the value of a Harvard degree and a Stanford degree is going down. Of course, you know, it's valuable. I'm not going to say it's not. But in our world of like Twitter, podcasts, YouTube, what people really care about is what have you done? You know, has your content gone viral in your niche? And that's basically it. And are you an interesting, cool person that I want to work with? That's what people care about. That being said, getting in the front door is difficult today. It's probably even more difficult today than it was 10 years ago. And I think the good part of having a Stanford degree or a Harvard degree is it gets you in the front door. I think that there's tons of opportunity to build online programs and IRL programs that credentializes. So, and what do I mean by credentializes? I mean, you get a certificate and people will pay for that certificate. So I saw this really good tweet by Peter Levels on Twitter. And he goes, if you're looking for a remote job, go learn Python and apply for jobs in AI. Python is the fastest growing and highest paid for remote jobs right now. The median salary is $80,000 a year for remote, but with massive outliers into $300,000 a year and higher if you go non-remote, usually in office in San Francisco. So then he's put this chart of basically the fastest growing and highest paying jobs in 2024: Python, marketing, Node, backend, TypeScript, sales, Ruby, React, non-tech, JavaScript, customer support. I would basically use ChatGPT to build this list, or you can even grab this list. We can put it in the show notes. But I would basically create a list, and then I'd be like, how do I credentialize for Python? How do I credentialize for not marketing, because marketing is too big. But what about growth marketing? So how you'd actually go and build out this idea is you take out a piece of paper, you'd write in the middle hub and spoke. The hub would be marketing, and what are the spokes? Growth marketing, PPC, audience development, video content? What are all the ways that people market in 2024? And then I'd look at credentializing. And the other way you can create this business.
This is what Treehouse has done.
Course creators and be like, hey,
I think Treehouse was like a tech. You learn coding stuff. I think they're still called Treehouse. Is it Join? Team Treehouse. These guys came up with their own like tech degree stuff in UX, data. Yeah, front end, full stack, UX, Python, data. Yeah.
I'm going to manage the credentialization of your program. I'm going to manage the graduation of your program, and I'm going to, send. I'm just going to make this experience incredible, and I think that's another business that would definitely cash flow, $10,000 to $100,000 a month. So I'm not to answer your, to give you feedback, Peter. I don't know enough about athletes, but I think what you inspired me to think about is credentialization is something that's a huge idea. So I like it a lot. And then Jose Carrillo says, I recently started building Trip.com. It's an analytic platform for UX teams. I'd love some feedback. Okay, so let's bring up Trip.com and give him some feedback. Okay, so I pulled it up. It says analytics for UX teams that tracks user task duration and helps you fix user sticking points for smoother task completion. Discover the true efficiency of your app with real-time insights into task completion times, identify and streamline complex workflow to enhance user satisfaction and productivity. Okay, and then there's an image here. And then how do they charge? So they charge $9.99 a month, and you get 5 different tasks configured to record, or $19.99, something called a business plan, where you get 10 different tasks. So this is one of those ideas that you've built something really smart, but the way you're talking about it and the way it's positioned could be optimized. So it's not just about quote-unquote smoother task completion, because what does that mean? It means if you get people to complete their tasks, we actually did some research. If you get someone to complete their task, their primary task of going onto a mobile app or going onto a website, they're actually 67% more likely to buy a product or service from you. So if you can tell me that you're going to help me sell more stuff, or you're going to help me get more people to subscribe, or you're going to help me get more followers, or you're going to help me drive word of mouth, all these things, like that's what this is about. It's not about task completion. So the biggest thing that you need here is to reposition around what is unpack task completion. And the other thing is you want to, when you're writing copy, write like you talk. You would never say in a conversation, discover the true efficiency of your app, real-time insights, and task completion times. So you just need to rewrite your website as if you're talking to an 8th grader. And that's a prompt that you can actually put within ChatGPT. You can say, you can put in all your copy and then put into ChatGPT and say, I really want this to be written in plain English. Can you make this really, really clear and catchy for an 8th grader? And then you ask it to rewrite it, and you're gonna get some good stuff. The other thing is, where's the video? I'm on your website and it's just an image. I think that so many people are using images and just text on web pages. I'm really, really bullish right now on having above the fold a video, and that's going to help increase conversion rates, no question. Show me what you're doing. People are used to Instagram stories. They're used to YouTube shorts. They're watching video everywhere. They should be watching video on your website. And the beauty is, video is one of the best, I think, if not the best way to storytell, because you've got audio, you've got visual, you've got sound, so you feel more connected to a product via video if it's just an image. And last thing is, I don't know about your business model, $9.99 to $19.99, like that feels quite arbitrary. And it feels like if you're actually helping that much with task completion, it's worth a lot more than $19.99. So that's my feedback, and hope that was helpful. All right, so that's the pod. If you enjoyed it, please go to YouTube, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube video. And I read every comment. I respond to most of the comments, especially if they're nice. And I'll see you on the next one. Hope this got your creative juices flowing. Later, everyone.
Reminds me of this tool that I put together for one of these Superbase hackathons. Building a weekend, make millions. So you type in an interest. Micro weddings. I then are going to generate ideas. Actually, this is one really good way to just sit here and be creating ideas. And here we go. We've got our ideas. So an online marketplace for micro wedding ideas. Oh, it's because I clicked on it. I wasn't meant to do that. But basically, if you click on the idea, then you can... this is using DALL-E to come up with my idea. So this is a create an online marketplace for micro wedding venues, allowing couples to easily search, compare, and book intimate wedding spaces. So the way that I get my MVP would be develop a website with search functionality, venue profiles, and a booking system. What does that look like? So this is what it would look like. I wonder if I can improve this to be, I wonder if there's a new version of DALL-E yet. How would I get my first 10 users? Partner with a few unique micro wedding venues, lesser spaces. Yeah, that makes sense. And then how would I make my first million? Expand to marketplace to include wide range of micro wedding services such as catering, photography, and aficionados. Cool. And then if you go to random, it'll basically pick out any. And then you can go, give me another one. Give me another one. Give me another one. And if you really want all of them, you can unlock all of them, which is basically purchasing the CSV download of all the ideas. Actually, maybe this is what I can do. Basically, if anybody's in the chat at any point, and I happen to be live, then if you give me an interest to ping in, that's not going to be too rude, then I will put it into my idea generator. It's actually running with real-time information, so it also uses the Brave search API, and to get news stuff alongside the interest that you've put in. What else has he got in here? Maybe his lives. We'll see the lives. So it's Brainstorm 5.
Live streams where we can just, there's a lot less pressure today. So, you know, thanks for joining. I just poured myself, I'm a couple minutes late, 'cause I just poured myself a Guinness. I'm drinking Guinness today. And I look forward to getting people on stage. All right, if you are new here, this is how it works. So, you are going to DM me on Instagram at Greg Eisenberg with your startup idea. And you're gonna come up, you know, the best ideas, I'll just bring you up on stage. You're gonna pitch your idea. It could be so half-baked. It could be like, you were in the shower and this came up, you know, and you want the feedback. Then I'm gonna give you feedback live, and then people in the chat are gonna do one of two things to your idea. You're either gonna sip, you're gonna take a sip, which means they like the idea, there's a lot of legs to that idea, or what they're gonna do is they're gonna spit.
Oh, there you go. That's his two-liners: spit or sip or spit. Yeah. I am actually interested in doing this because you probably get a bunch of coverage. Because how many subscribers? So 25k subscribers. How many people watch this? 2.3 views. 2.3k views. 11 comments. It's ripe for.
I'll just bring you up on stage. I'll send you a link and I'll bring you up on stage. So it's at Greg Eisenberg on Instagram.
And also there was, I think, the live chat, right?
Tell me what you're doing, and you know, a couple lines, and that's all I need. I'm used to listening Greg on 1.5x. You know, that is true. I do talk slow. I'm a chill guy. You know, I get it chill.
Oh, and I can speed it up. Can I go to 2 on this one?
Come hang out. I don't care if you're drinking a beer, wine, coffee, tea, soda water. Just come sipping. All right. Let me check my Instagram and see if we're getting some. All right, we got our first DM. So I will be sending this shortly. So give me one moment. We'll be bringing people on stage. This is live on Twitter right now, but it's like a way better experience on YouTube. There's way more comments and stuff like that. I recommend you go check out the YouTube link if you're on Twitter. John, DM'd you last week and you accept the invite. The pitch wasn't good enough, I don't think. Pitch wasn't good enough. Give me something new, short and sweet. All right, I'm gonna pin this comment. Hold on YouTube. DM at Greg Eisenberg Instagram. Come up on stage. Put that on YouTube, and I'll pin that as a comment. So you can see that.
I've got to find him on Instagram so I can kind of make sure that next time he does a live stream that I can get onto it.
Boom. Cool. All right. 625 people. Wow, this is coming in. All right. This is what I'm talking about. This is firing me up. This is awesome. All right, we're gonna have a good hour 2 today, just jamming on your ideas. The weekend is for workshopping these ideas. You know, so I don't know about you, but I find myself way more creative on the weekend than the week. All right, and if we get to
I'm typically more creative at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. when I should be winding down and sleeping.
They don't drink tomato juice in Canada. They drink something called clamato juice. What is clamato juice? Well, clamato juice is basically tomato juice with clam juice. No one wants to be drinking that. No one wants to be drinking that. But it's basically a Bloody Mary with clam juice. So I'll be drinking that. If we get to 1,000 people, or about 720 people, I'll be drinking it. And I hope we get there. But yeah, all right. I'm waiting for some DMs. At Greg Eisenberg on Instagram, and I'll bring you up. Okay, I'm starting to send the link to a couple people. Alex and Nathan, I just sent you a link. Come up on, just send me a DM on Instagram with your startup idea. Again, it could be super half-baked. Jason, I'm bringing you. I just sent you the link. And it's crazy because people have been, there's been people who've taken these live stream ideas and are like building businesses, like straight up. Someone is going to listen to this live stream today and take one of these ideas. And maybe they don't take the exact idea, it'll inspire them to do something. And you know,
that's what you want, right? You just want the catalyst, the sparker.
All right, boom. We got our first First guest of the day, Mason. Are you ready to come on stage? I see you there. Boom.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh yeah. Hear me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's the wave. Okay, so I just kind of explain what it is.
What's on your mind?
Okay, so me and my buddy, we're creating a hoodie. Right now we have 200 of these. Our first bulk order is on the way. But it's essentially a hoodie that says beer, period, embroidered on the chest. And then right here is a cup holder that conveniently places your beer. So then if you're at a party, if you're at a bar, there's two things. One is you can put it there so that you can do hands-free, play games, talk with people, and it doesn't get moved.
Lol.
Women that keep the drink on their chest, so there's no risk of it getting spiked or anything because it's right there with you. Me and my co-founder so far, we've gotten 60 pre-orders, we've gotten funding from our business, and we're really just looking at ways to kind of make it a reality now.
Do you have a website?
No, we're actually this weekend. He's driving up to SF. I'm here for an internship, and we're gonna build it today. But we have an Instagram, shop.hearme, Instagram Reels. We're trying to take inspiration from Liquid Death for an unserious, just funny marketing that tries to get people to laugh, because that's kind of what the product is in itself. But yeah, building the website this weekend.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna share my screen real quick to give people a little visual of shop.hearme. So walk me through. What should I press over here?
Press the one with the little guy.
That was so good. I think we gotta watch that again.
Still fucking got it.
Who is that, by the way?
That's my co-founder's grandpa.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No grandpas were hurt.
So good. Okay, so you want feedback on your idea?
So random.
Okay, so I don't know if you know how this works here. Basically, we do these live streams, and people either sit the idea, which means they like it, or they spit the idea, which means like it so much. So on YouTube, in the comment section, I just want to hear from you. Do you guys sip or spit this idea? Just write in the comments on YouTube. Sip or spit this idea before I give my feedback on is this a viable business?
I think spit.
Mason
It's not.
putting his brain somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a viable business? And while people comment on YouTube, either sip or spit, like what's your goal with this?
That's a good question. I think the main goal is we really want to sell it. We think this could be something you sell like Barstool Sports, something like that. So our main strategy that we're taking is we're at University of Oregon in Eugene, so that's the hoodie that the grandpa's wearing is our John's colorway. We really just want to focus on college students as well as like that.
You could sell it to the NFL or some sports, college football.
That's kind of where we're going. And yeah, I think the long-term plan is to try to sell it to a more established company for sale and kind of
Especially in the places where it's cold. If you don't want to hold your beer.
So when I was earlier in my career, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, it was all about how do I build something and sell something. Like fire. And what I realized is there's typically only 7 companies and 3 people at those companies that matter in order for you to sell the company. So what are they? So the 3 people are generally CEO, chief product officer, sometimes it's like a head of product or product manager. So your job, Mason, if you do this idea or not, is to get to know that. I call the law of 21, 7 times 3. Who are the 7 companies? Make a list. This weekend, make a list. Our tool, all those people times 3 people: CEO, chief product officer, and product manager. And your job is to get to know these 21 people, like fly out, get to know them, become their friend, so that when you're ready to sell your business, you just send them a text and it's like, Dave, I've been doing this for 3 years. We've done some affiliate deals together. How do we actually sell this? So that's for anyone listening. If you're building something to sell, do that. Law 21. But I think I gotta be real with you. This is a spit idea for me.
Okay.
And it's a spit idea because it's a physical product. I think there's just so much opportunity right now in digital products right now that
And it wouldn't take long for somebody to just do the same thing, just like a split and a kangaroo style pocket. Yeah.
I don't know, like what is the life cycle of that product? And how do you sell multiple products?
And you don't want to bother patenting. Yeah.
So if I were you, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm thinking more of like how do I create a cash flow business, and maybe do this on the side. Like maybe this is like kind of a side thing that you can do that is kind of a slow burner that eventually you sell. But I think that if I'm you, I'm thinking about how am I creating cash flowing internet startups. You're young, you're probably good with a video camera, creating video. It seems like you are, and like you get how to make things go viral. But it's are you should you be spending your time on something else?
Okay, I appreciate that. Can I kind of give you some perspective? Because I know you're all about the AI and the digital space. So my kind of thought process as well is yes, as the world moves more and more digital, there's going to be a lot more products digitalized and a lot of experiences digitalized. But at the end of the day, us as humans are still in this physical world, and so I feel like a lot of physical products, a lot of physical experiences are going to be kind of overlooked, and that there's going to be a period of time where people kind of need something to bring them back. Take off the Apple Vision Pro, they put on beer hoodie, and go drink some beer with their friends. So that's kind of like I totally agree with you on digital. And then as far as the repeat purchases, that's something we've been thinking about a lot. And I agree with you. It's probably going to have to be multiple products like a trucker hat or something like that. That's also where we want to, we want someone to buy for themselves with like their skin colorway. Then also, I would buy one for my dad for Father's Day. I would buy one for my grandpa because still got it. That can kind of be the way to try to get repeat purchases from one customer.
So I want to be clear. So I spit the idea in its current form.
Yeah.
But I spit the idea if it's multiple products, multiple SKUs, maybe some IRL community event stuff, right? Like in order to access this party, you need the beer me hoodie, right? And I think that you're right. Like what are the trends? The trends are people experiences.
That's a clever thing, as in if you did an event where you had to wear that hoodie to get into the event, that's essentially your ticket, which is essentially a physical NFT.
I call it anti trend. So the trend right now is getting sober. But the fact that you're just like, no, it's still beer me, but the complete opposite. Yeah. I feel like every trend has an equal anti-trend. So writing that anti-trend I think is really big. I just think that what gets me from spit to sip, gets me from not liking this idea to liking this idea, is having a multiple product approach, holding company approach, and doing things that are a bit less harder on the logistics side, merchandising side, doing things that are a bit easier and cash flowing. So that's my feedback to Mason. Okay. Give it up for Mason.
Appreciate it.
And Grams.
Got it. I love a Guinness, so I'm a little jealous of you right now. So enjoy that.
Well, you have to get something. What's in your fridge?
Actually, nothing right now. I'm still recovering from last night, so I'm gonna go get bottomless mimosas soon. So
as expected, Mason. As expected.
Bye.
All right, later. thank you, Mason. We are going to bring on our next person. For those of you who are coming on here, if you want to get on stage, you're going to have to DM me on Instagram with your pitch, and the best pitches I will bring up to bring on a startup idea, or you can just tell me what business you're working on, and I'll get some feedback. All right, next we're going to bring on Sam. How's it going? You are on mute.
Hello, Tom. Can you see me now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You made my weekend already, so I'm happy to be live.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm.
Right.
Have you been to Nashville before?
I haven't, but I've been to Knoxville.
Has he got an Arsenal football top on there?
What,
Like Gunners.
share with 1,558 of our closest friends in total.
Okay, so the idea is called Rant on Me.
Maybe not.
R-A-N-T-O-N-M-E. More like a listening service. What I'm envisioning is like a platform for to support people who wants to like freely express their thoughts and emotion. Basically we connect. Assuming I want to rant, it's more like a rage room. Do you know rage room?
No, I'm gonna pull it up actually right now so people can see. So it's called Rage Room.
Rage room.
Yeah.
Rage room is where you just want to like rage rooms. It's one of those new ideas that came during COVID. People just want to splash.
Just smash a bunch of stuff, right?
So we have specialized rooms where people will go in and they will just smash things.
But is actually doing it a healthy way to get rid of anger? For $50, the owner of Houston's Tantrums will give folks 15 minutes to release their inner demons. Surprisingly, the biggest users, teacher and stay-at-home mom. Bone, who's a regular.
So more like a rage room, where it's going to be online.
I wonder if there was some way of doing a rage room that you could actually break down items and then they're easier to recycle now that a human has broke them down. So like it's kind of like you then wouldn't have to hire, like for example, a shredder. Like you wouldn't have to then hire a shredder because this person's now going to rip all this paper up. So if there was some way of like having some material that if it was broken down that it'd be now usable in some form. I mean, it would make sense with like wood, right? If you had a bunch of wood and you wanted to chop it down into small pieces of wood and then you sold the smaller pieces of wood rather than the big and you just use it as a rage room idea. Actually, that could be a fascinating idea. A wood rage room where you basically chop in wood and that is essentially, that chopped wood is now actually used or sold. Let me text that idea to Tom. Wood rage room. Ask me later. Lol. Alright.
Very angry, you're very upset with someone, you can like sign up for our service. I'll just listen to you, you just rage, you just rant on me, and I'll just listen. I might not say anything. Some people just want people that just rant. They just want to rant. It's not like we are not going to be like therapists.
But then surely you have to always have rage, like continually be angry.
Book a time and somebody you just start ranting. Someone that is just the idea. I've not started, just thinking about it.
Cool. So basically, here's the idea. People, especially Americans, are angry, and it's been validated by the fact that these rage rooms are popping up, and I think also road rage has gotten worse and worse over the last few years. So your idea is, okay, this thing is being validated already in the physical world. How can I build something in the digital world where someone basically is even doing like a phone call, like, hey, Sam, let me tell you about how sad I am that my girlfriend left me, or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I'll just listen and not say anything.
Well, not saying anything.
I could. It depends on what you want. Some people just want to talk, and they just want someone to listen to them. While some just wanting to talk and just encourage them.
So like an AI therapist, but you're allowed to be angry with them.
The model I'm envisioning is you pay e.g. $50. I won't be the only listener. Like I'll just what I'm envisioning is on the website there will be, if you want to be a listener, you can sign up and we just match a listener and a ranter.
So I actually surprisingly love this idea. I think that there would need to be some interaction between the listener and the free person.
Yes.
Because if it's just silence, here's what I think I call it. I call it you'retotallyright.com.
You're totally right. Okay, I'll pay it.
And
I'll get it.
It's like you call them and it's like, oh my god, you're not gonna believe, you're not gonna believe what I did yesterday, and I'm so upset, and can't believe you did that. And then on the other end, you're totally right. There's so many examples of, tell me more about how your wife does.
As he bought it. It's not available, so that means.
Take the domains of the people. When we give domain ideas, we don't take those domains. Yesterday we gave like 2 or 3 really great domain ideas, and it was like scooped up by someone else in 1 track. So this is Sam's idea. Thank you. Yeah, the house rules. Sam gets 24 hours to purchase.
Yeah. Not sure if he has purchased it.
I think that this is kind of similar to, in some ways, Beer Me, the previous person, because Beer Me is one of those things like could go viral on TikTok, and I could see this with the right domain, the right positioning is going to go viral, and I think that you're trying to make the world a better place, right, Sam? You're trying to let the rage out in a more sustainable way. Exactly. So I think this is a big idea. This is a sit for me. In the comments, if you're on YouTube, is this a sit? Do you like this idea, or is this a sit? Do you not like this idea? I think this is really smart. I also like ideas that.
Oh wait, he actually might have bought it.
And then
Yeah, updated date the 15th of June.
Number 1, human. Number 2, AI assisted humans. Number 3, agents. So I think it's a great idea.
Just 2 days ago.
Go viral. The name needs to be right. You're getting a lot of tips in the comments on YouTube. So
for some reasons, I cannot see the tips in the comments. You can see.
Oh, maybe not.
Yes, I'm on YouTube.
I don't know. I'm I'm seeing Sip, NJ Allen, Christopher, Strang, Kaz, J Mix. You're getting nothing but Sip. So
Okay.
so congrats and Brian Lowry, Sip.
So what if we do this? If I'm a big follower of yours, just so you know. What if Greg is going to be our first customer of clients?
Well, if you know anything about me, I'm a very calm human being. You know,
Oh, sure.
A lot of people listen to my podcast, the Startup Ideas podcast, on 1.5, sometimes 2x. People have told me, hey, speak faster, speak with more energy, this is who I am. You know, I'm literally in the mountains in the middle of northern Quebec here. There's not anyone for 95 acres in this area, so I'm happy, I'm chill. And so I'm not the person, but I do think that I do know a few people who are those angry people who do get frustrated really quickly, and I'll be the first person to take that. And I think what you can do to make it viral is you can get an angry session to someone.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's like, oh, you need a people say like you need a chill pill. Like, what's your version of a chill pill? Like, that's what this should be. The name should be like, oh, I need to take a XYZ, and that's your prompt for this weekend. That's what you need to come up with. You need to come up with like a verb for this.
Got it. I'll do that. I'll work on that. I appreciate you. I just changed. You're totally right. Let's go. Thank you so much.
Amazing. All right, Sam. Appreciate you coming up.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring up a next guy, and I could see people like backstage, and I don't know if they know I could see them, but I think this guy was just like smoking cigarettes backstage. He was, and I think that we're gonna bring up the guy who's in his room smoking cigarettes. I don't know if it'll be good. I don't know if it'll be a sip or a spit, but we're gonna give him a shot. And here, Jason, the founder of Really Good. You're on mute. You just have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I didn't realize you could see, but I was smoking a cigarette before.
Well, I'm glad you were just smoking a cigarette, not doing anything weird. So you know.
Yeah, it's better that way, I guess.
Exactly. So what's on your mind today? Thanks for coming.
So I've been building this business for about 4 months now. It's called Really Good, and it comes from I was in tech for like 10 years working at early stage startups, and I got tired of it, working for other people primarily. And so I left, didn't have a plan. Started, and the first way to get out of it was service providing because I'd already done that, so it was the easiest way to start. Being my own boss. And over the course of about a year and a half, I started noticing other people that wanted to do the same thing, so I started helping them do that. And then I kind of started serving. My thought at first was actually to build some sort of, just like a talent agency for musicians or other artists, to do that same thing for professionals and just to help them build themselves up. For a lot of reasons, that wasn't the best strategy to go about with because I think taking a percentage from normal people just was weird to them. And so I ended up shifting into this where I realized, okay, if I want to help them, I can help the companies that are looking for service providers. This is like purely professional services, not, don't think like plumbers or don't think SaaS software. But the idea is to help, is basically that. So if you're going to help these people, you really have to help companies find the right person for them. And my thought is that the way to do that is data. It's live, yeah. I mean, when I say it's live, there's a landing page where you can sign up and make a request. That goes to email. Like, it's all. I use the product right now. That's what I'm at. No one uses the product.
What's the URL?
Really good down the road.
Share my screen so people can see it.
So yeah, so basically what we do is we collect data on different service providers, agencies.
Can I say something? I was like, when you were pitching it, I did not think it was gonna look this nice. I don't know if other people in the comments feel the same way, but I'm like, now I went from really unimpressed to impressed really quickly, and I'm like, wow, this actually looks really cool.
Okay, so I'm curious, what made you go from unimpressed? What was the unimpressed?
I felt like you were saying a lot of words, but not enough. I felt like it was a lot of words. We had someone came on yesterday, and he was like, we're like, what's your idea? He goes, it's med school in a weekend. We teach you med school in a weekend, and that was like it.
Yeah, I can see why that's more powerful. Yeah.
What's your version of that?
My version of that is, that's a good question. Getting you the best service provider on the planet for your needs using data.
I think that this is going to work. This becomes a sip if you don't use the word, if you unpack what service provider is.
Yeah, we put that little thing on top for that exact reason, find the best agency or freelancer. But we don't want to do just agencies and we don't want to do just freelancers because ultimately the right solution for people might be, for sometimes it's an agency and sometimes it's a freelancer. It really depends on your needs, it depends on your budget, it depends on what you're looking for. Sometimes it might be best to work with. By the way, actually, we have one of your holding company, like I think you have a brand one that just pivoted the name.
Design Scientist.
Yeah, so yes. Oh, so it was brand something, right? It was Brand Kitchen or something?
That's one of ours too.
So something, one of them, a design one. I don't remember which signed up also. I don't know how that happened. But so we have about 1,000 service providers that have signed up. And the way it works is that we get 15% of the first 6 months, which we thought was like a good mix of being fair while still making money off of recommendations. And unlike a Fiverr or an Upwork, where one, you have to do a lot of work. 2, finding people is really hard. And 3, you're stuck with the talent that they have. Fiverr talent isn't that great. It's not the best. Upwork talent, there's amazing people, by the way, in all these places, but it's really hard to find them.
Talk to me more about the data. Like, what is, when I read this, I'm like, okay, power data, what does that actually?
Yeah, if you scroll down, you can actually see the 3 parameters we look at. So quality, fit, and trust. Trust, to be honest, we don't do a really good job of yet. That was the first starting point, was basically to say, hey, Greg, you know Bob. Bob worked with this branding agency and like them. You should probably check them out. Obviously, you can make a branding request. Quality is reviews, feedback, retained clients. So we look at that as also a strong sign of someone who has kept a client for a long time. And the last is trust. Is fit. Fit is the one we're best at right now, which is basically have they work in your industry with companies similar to you, with your budget, your specific needs, location, et cetera, et cetera.
Cool. So we're gonna do like a live landing page roast over here, and I think this is, first of all, I love this idea around you're just matchmaking. All you have to do is what do you have to do? You have to figure out high quality recommendations around agencies. We'll start with agencies and freelancers, and then you just have to. I mean, it's gonna be easy to sign up some of these folks. Why? Because everyone's looking for more business. Like, hey, if I can get you for 20% more business, would you sign up? Like, probably. So, and then you need to find growth channels. How do you?
Yeah, so that's the hardest part right now. I mean, that's actually my background. So that's what I'm good at. I've been actually working too much on the product because I'm doing it right now primarily by myself. And so building a data product is just really hard, even with the AI tools they have today. You can build your own. I can build my own scrapers today, something I couldn't have done 2 years ago, and I can start indexing the web by myself. But I'm not good at it, right? And so
And that's actually really important because if you think about how we make money, there's number of requests, but more important than that, honestly, is the number of those recommendations that we make that actually get taken. And yes, there's a way, you're going to convert a percentage even by just making, solid recommendations. But when you have good signals that make them see, oh, wow, this is perfect for me, you're going to convert more and you're going to get customers come back. I think it's really important. You're going to get them to recommend it because they have a good experience. So like, if you think about how the business works, like requests and the percentage conversion after starting, but almost more important than that percentage is the percentage later of clients that are happy with who they work with.
How many lead magnets have you built?
So this is only up. This site is up for less than a month. I've been doing it for 4 months, so it's not none. Right now, we get all of our leads from friends of mine who work in different companies, and from communities, and from a couple of partnerships, primarily with like VCs. So like VC platform teams, like the value creation teams, they have like a bunch of portfolio companies that come to them for certain requests, or like provide recommendations. We just do that for them since we know more than they do.
Here's how I grow this thing, and I think this is a huge idea. My friend Julian Shapiro also has a similar product. Have you seen it? It's called Pineapple.
Pineapple List? Yeah, I wanted to get. So the way I look at companies like that, we started on board talent networks and agency networks as well, and we just drive growth for them. Like we would never. So basically, if we would work with Pineapple List, the way we would work with any agency that hasn't signed up with them, we would basically use them to source supply. And if we would never be able to poach, we would have a contract that doesn't let us, it's impossible for us to poach their companies. So if we don't have a relationship with that agency already, any agency who's in their network, we would always be theirs, and if ever we drove a lead to them, they would get paid for it.
So you can see both screens, right, next to each other. So I want people on the YouTube chat to tell me which value proposition you want there, on the left or the right. And I can't see what you're saying, but while people are putting that left or right, I think that when I look at something like this, it's just so clear what they do. Pineapple tells you who the best agencies are. No one has the data we do. We have thousands of founders on which agency to rely on.
Can't see them side by side.
That's funny. So I think that there's room for multiple Pineapple lists, and there's 100 matching startups. Oh, Cody's coming in. Hold on, Cody Schneider. I'm gonna bring you on. Give me 1 second. Boom. All right, we're gonna bring Cody on. It's gonna get fun. So, I just think that the opportunity is niching Pineapple List even more down. It's like we're the best matching for SaaS businesses. Like you were kind of afraid about agencies and freelancers, those words. You're like, well, we're not really, we're not just agencies, we're also agencies and freelancers. It's okay to start with agencies and then move from there, right? Your goal is how do I get $1 million ARR to start, and then from there you can adjust. So I would start thinking about how do I create Pineapple List for SaaS businesses, crypto companies, AI companies, e-commerce, all that stuff, and create different landing pages for those particular.
You have a lot of right now these days. There's probably talent network for every niche. So there's 3 for e-commerce, there's 2 for healthcare. It's endless. If you think about website building, Webflow has a marketplace, Framer has a marketplace, Wix has a marketplace. They all have this. For us, I think it's less about the messaging.
Well, they have it, but you have to trust Wix and you have to trust.
Yeah, but for us, I think it's more about the growth channels than it is about the product marketing. I mean, obviously, product marketing has to improve. It's like a month in, but it's really about where you get the recommendation from and who ends up getting recommended. That gives it the trust. Like we get plenty of requests. The problem isn't getting the request; it's converting it.
Why is that? So you're getting tons of requests. You're getting tons.
Not tons, but it's at the point. It's like we're solid in that, and there's a lot of ways to continue. Honestly, this month has been slow because it's starting to be summer, and I think businesses are starting to slow down a little bit. But that's what I'm feeling. But sourcing requests isn't as much of a challenge.
Cody,
what's good?
2,412 of our closest friends.
No shit, live right now?
Live.
Dude, what in the actual hell? Okay, hell,
YouTube,
sweet. I have like 30 minutes. I gotta leave, but.
By the way, if you're on Twitter, get off Twitter and go onto YouTube because that's where the comments are. So it's like I don't think are there comments on Twitter. I don't think so.
Oh, you're streaming to Twitter right now. Okay, dude, I'm catching up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Slow my roll.
If you're on Twitter, get off Twitter. Go to youtube.com/@GregEisenberg. You'll see the live stream, and that way you can comment.
So like, I don't know, just continue with that's cool. So like, what we've been starting to do is basically trying to figure out. Like, I mean, the biggest problem with the business is honestly cash flow because our cash flow is delayed. Basically, if you think about it, like it takes so much time to complete a request, then they meet the company, then they actually take time to start working with them, to negotiate with them and close and start. And then by the time that company's getting paid, we still have net 30 afterwards. So we're getting paid. We have to wait. Like we only started getting paid last month for a request made, like the first request we had made, which was in February. So it like takes a while. And so I don't know if you know the company Vendor, VENDR, but they do this for SaaS kind of. So one of our thoughts was to start basically. What they do differently is they charge
like BENDR, like Vendor, just with no O. And what they said is basically we're not going to become affiliates, which is kind of what we are for agencies or talent networks. That's what we serve as. They basically say to companies, we're just going to save you money. We're going to do the negotiations on contract and pricing for you with SaaS companies because we have tons of data and you don't want to do the work anyway. So one of our thoughts is to start off.
They just take a rake off of the money that they save you. Is that the business model?
I don't know how they charge anymore. They used to charge like a SaaS fee of like 10K a month, by the way, like a lot.
Totally.
They can save you a ton, right? If you go to enterprise, they can save you on Stripe alone. They can save you enough to.
Cody, you know when you go on a website and you're like, wow, this company's raised venture capital?
Yep.
This is the vibe I'm getting from this.
So what's actually cool about them is they started as a business and then they were already profitable and went to Y Combinator then and then it just blew up.
150 million Series B, Greg.
Yeah, I know. It oozes A16Z.
1000%. They all just use the same agency. What's your company? It's really good. I think I saw it on the stream, but
yeah.
Cool. Really high level, what is it?
So we match companies to the best service providers for them.
For ad design?
Accounting to.
What's producing 80% of your revenue right now?
What
type of deal? Yeah.
It's so varied.
You gotta pick a job title. Who's the one?
Like I'd love to nicheify, but we started off with our partners being VCs, and their portfolio companies have random requests.
Yeah.
One time it'll be recruiting, and we're not going to be able to work with VCs, for example, if we only focus on one area.
Is the logistics of the challenge scaling that because it's too variable?
No, it's actually not so hard. I know it sounds ridiculous. Like every time we do a new domain, it's a little bit hard that first time, but then it's already set for the next time. So like for example, we had one company come in that was an e-commerce company that needed SEO help. Then another e-commerce company needed SEO help, and we had already done that work for them.
And it was
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah. But I'm saying
easy for
like,
us
you
to
know, there's
say.
e-com companies where you go make this a $10 million business, right, in like 12 months. So I guess it's like, what is the inbound that you're getting? Like, right, I'm coming late, so the growth side, I didn't get the context before, so I'm going blind, so I apologize.
Yeah, so the hard part for me about like going niche with it is one that it's you're going like right now we're kind of going into a blue ocean without being niche. And with all of the niches, there's no shortage of talent networks. Our concept is to sort of be on top of those. As an aggregator, like I don't want to be the expert in figuring out the best supply for each of these areas. I want to partner with Pineapple List. I want to partner with the talent networks in e-commerce, and I want to onboard their supply and serve as a growth channel for them.
Get that totally. I guess where I'm at is
We have a deal with Fiverr, for example. They have a normal affiliate deal. We just adjusted it a little bit, so we get 20% of anyone we recommend on Fiverr. So if I recommend someone on Fiverr, I get 20% off. Theoretically, by the way, I could go to companies tomorrow and say just do your Fiverr through us, and we'll get you a discount.
Yeah,
Cody, what would you do if you were the CMO of this business?
I mean, it sounds like VCs already have this. So I go find every company that's written a check for e-commerce as an example. I cold email every VC and be like, cool, this is how we like turn this company from zero to whatever the revenues are, and they raise the check 12 months later, right? And just send them case studies and whatever that product offering is. It's great blue ocean, right? We can always do everything, but like the cash flow is the challenge, which is always the problem with early stage like agency work. It's like building some type of it's way easier to communicate. Hey, like we specialize in this, and then what's going to happen is then you're going to get referrals on the backside, right? Like trying to communicate we do everything is basically saying like we do nothing. Right? It's very hard with limited resources to do that communication, like from a positioning standpoint. So I always try to we do this specific thing, and then there can always be upsells and cross sells on the backside of that, or like referrals come in and you just say yes to anything that comes on the inbound side. But I mean, again, this just from my experience, that's the way that I see this. You're trying to figure out the cash flow mechanism of this. Like it's going to be way easier to be like, cool. Any company that's
the hard part about it, I'll give you an example. So like one of our partnerships that we're talking to is actually YouTube. So I live in Israel in Tel Aviv, and there's a YouTube Israel, YouTube in general. They'll pay for companies videos so that they can start advertising on YouTube. Because the hardest thing for them is to get companies to create a good enough video that can go on YouTube and work on YouTube. So they'll pay for that so that companies will start spending more on YouTube. So we've actually been talking to them about basically they have a spreadsheet that they never update. And that's how they pick the agencies for different companies. Like they don't even use that. They just kind of think, okay, maybe this guy, maybe that guy. And
I mean, as a vendor list, with all this, it's like, I mean, it sounds like you have a ton of options. It's so like, I guess where's the disconnect on the cash flow side is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so the disconnect on cash flow is just that it comes late because of the referrals. It's just such a late process.
Right
now, I'm
what
not worried about it, but like I'd like to make the money up front. Like I'd like to charge someone, right? I want to make money today, not in 3 months. In general.
Yeah, I totally. I mean, that's why I'm saying like a productized service where it's like, we 0 to 1 like e-commerce sites, right? And we do this in a 90-day sprint, and like you only focus on venture-backed companies, and the cost of that, whatever, we'll say it's $50,000, you get $25,000 up front day one. Second half that happens after the sprint ends. Like that's how you're gonna get cash flows immediately when it's that productized.
So you're saying basically tell them you buy credit with us for working with an agency?
Yeah, I mean, so I own a productized service like business, right? It's like we build newsletters for podcasts. That's like the thing, the offering that we do. And like so we grow, like our promise is like, we grow this by 5,000 subs a month, right? Like that's like our what we create. They pay me up front for that. Like I just have a money back guarantee, right? Where it's like, if we don't do this and like it's not successful, we'll give you the cash back at the end of that period, right? At the end of the 30-day period. But like I'm getting that payment up front and then just showing the case studies with this. And I can do that because it's like a very specific thing that I'm offering, right? When you're doing agency work, in my experience, where it's like you're billing on the backside of it, that's when it's like, okay, cool. Like we just did 30 days of work. My bill went out, on the first of that next month, and then I have like net 60 to get that cash in. Like it's 90 days before I see a check. So in the early days, what I always try to do is what's a productized service that I can offer that will create a cash flow engine so that I can then have that like the flexibility for that when if I'm getting net 60 payments later on. I can go like all these clients, we can go sell them any type of podcasting service after that, right? But we abstracted away the most valuable thing. And I don't know what that is for you, but again, using the e-commerce example, maybe it's like we do e-commerce SEO at scale. We'll build like 10,000 like programmatic SEO landing pages.
So it's worth noting we don't do any of the work.
Yeah, we know that. He's saying
okay,
you might not want to actually do any of the work, and maybe you find a small shop that actually does the work, and then you split the revenue with them, right? So you have an offering that you sell some sprint for some amount of, or some work for some amount of, for some cost, and maybe you don't get 100% of the revenue, you get 40% of the revenue. But what Cody is suggesting is that you do that because that helps your cash issue, and then you're making money on the back end eventually, right? And I want to say
agencies start like this too, right? Like it's like we do Google ads. Oh, can you do Facebook ads? Yes. Oh, can you do and it's just like it keeps going deeper and deeper with this. But like having that flagship product offering is what you get. Like that's way easier to find a foothold within the business community.
Can I ask you a question on that? Do you think that's something where that the main site has to do that, or like you could create really good Google ads, really good Google ads and focus on that, and have that focus on that, and do
100%. I mean, Greg's like company, he owns Boring, right? Which is like this whole kind of, I don't even know what you call it. It's a whole code now, but it's all in the same brain. It's like Boring SEO, like Boring ads, like
different front doors, right? Think about different front doors, like Boring marketing. So we built an ads team, an AI assisted tool for ads, and then we built an AI assisted tool for SEO, and we built agencies around it. But it was really one company that we just changed the front doors to. So if you go to boringads.com, you want to sign up for an ad agency, great. It kind of just goes into the same Slack as the Boring marketing one. You know what I mean? So it's one big family. And I think for you can just think about different front doors. And we're gonna have to bring someone else on, Harvey, next. But I want to say one thing for people building agencies, because you brought up a really good point, which is it seems like VCs are a good channel for you. And I'll share one of our growth channels that is working and how we do it with and how we sell to VCs, and it's related to what you do, Jason. So we have a business which is a design and copy agency called designscientist.com. And the majority of the clients actually come from VCs. So how do we do it? We cold email VCs and we say, hey, if you get a few of your portfolio companies together, would you be down if we basically did a roast / give feedback to all their different homepages and basically dissect their funnel? And they're all like, yeah, it's great, because then the head of platform at these VC funds is like giving value to their portfolio CEOs. So then we have them in a room, we do a workshop with them, and then we try to sell them afterwards. Now we have their email, we have permission. Once we do that and we get one of them, then we send everyone else in the portfolio, say, hey, we work with this company. It's a part of the Andreessen Horowitz portfolio as an example. And then they're more likely to convert, and then your cold email strategy just gets a lot more effective. So I think you're onto something by focusing on VC-backed businesses. And in general, I don't like building VC-backed businesses, but I like selling to them.
Thanks so much.
Take care, Jason.
Good luck.
whew, that guy, you know, he's passionate
It's not
about
the
it.
energy. It's just the fraction. Like again, I've done the same thing, right? Where you try to do everything to everyone, and that's the worst thing you can fucking do when you're being an agency. Like you want to do the absolute opposite of that. You want to say no more than you say yes, both to the clients that you pick and also to the things that you like the jobs you're saying yes to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was trying to explain to him. I was like, what you built is cool, but it would be way cooler if it was really good for e-commerce or really good for SaaS or really good for, you know, insert niche here. And then his response to me was, well, I don't really have issues getting customers. It's just the cash conversion cycle isn't good.
Yeah, I mean that's the biology of the business, though, right? Like dissect that. So if you need cash now, then you set up the business so it functions, so it gets cash now. Like that's I don't know. Again, agency. Everybody wants to do agency. Like you know, what's an agency, right? Is it like him, or is it like fucking 10 people, or is it 100 people? Like there's different. Everybody measures that differently. People are like, oh, I started an agency. It's like it's just you doing 20 grand a month consulting. Like that's not an agency, right? Like that's like you doing random jobs or services. So yeah.
Before we bring on Harvey, who's been patiently waiting, thank you, Harvey. What are you drinking? Are you drinking anything?
Yeah, I was. I finished it already. I got this Italian soda. It was like a grapefruit Italian soda from Trader Joe's. Dude, Trader Joe's is the cheapest groceries right now. I don't know how that happened. It's like the most like well kept secret. I'm paying less there than I am at Safeway. Like what's going on? It's
Totally.
insane, man.
I love it.
Anyway.
I must say, I said that if we got 1,000 people watching this thing, and now we have 3,200, that I would drink Clamato juice again.
You better, dude. I'll go get stuff for next time. We'll do Caesars. How about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a Caesar. I'm gonna go grab a Caesar. I'm gonna be true to my word. Let's bring on Harvey to the stage. I'm listening, Harvey. Welcome to the stage. I'm just grabbing a Caesar.
Harvey, how's it going? Oh, looks like you're muted, my man. Looks like you're muted. Sorry, Harvey.
Okay,
cool.
can you hear
Good
me
now? Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is nothing to do with agency. We move across. Okay. Okay, Clamato. Okay, you're in the Canada. I'm in UK. I'm in London, UK.
Oh, amazing.
Okay.
Tell us about the business.
Right. So the dementiamanifesto.com. So the website just went up this week, and what it is, it's targeting carers of people with dementia. So in the States, there's 7 million. In the UK, there's 1 million, 54 million worldwide. Okay, and growing by the day.
What's the website?
I've just turned it up a bit.
The dementiamanifesto.com.
Cool. Awesome.
So what I've done, that I have created 2 reports. One for the UK market and one for the US market. So people go on, and if it's the UK, they go on. I get their email address, and then they get the report. And so what I'm trying to do, and it shows basically that dementia hasn't been funded properly. It's still not funded by the government. If you compare it to cancer or diabetes or whatever, and people, it's the carers and the families who are paying for it, and it's a scandal, and no one's doing anything about it. So the idea, I'm using that to going to use that to create interest and to build up a list. So it's following your model, Greg, about creating an audience first, and then also I've just also created through your community, of which I'm a member, 2 school community forums. So when they download the report, I'm also asking them to go on to the school, again for the UK and the US. And so then through that, as well as their email, I'm going to build up email lists, and then I can nurture a relationship in terms of both the politics, but also more importantly, strategies, resources, and help for basically carers. And then the idea would be, in terms of monetizing, eventually, would be 3 or 4-fold. One is these people are already spending money every day on products to help their loved ones deal with dementia, whether it's games or clocks or just all sorts of products like that.
I was just about to go there, Harvey. I'm about to drop this in the chat, but there's like hundreds of thousands of keywords for like dementia-related products, like
exactly,
coloring books,
exactly, all that stuff. Yesterday I was in London. I was at a dementia exhibitors conference, so I'm sure there's in the States. So one is to recommend and get affiliate through that. That's one idea. The second idea is that so there are various universities, one of them being in London, University College London, that have produced different resources and packs with people with not late stage but early stage to try and stimulate activities and stuff like that. And my idea is to, once I've got a list and some credibility, is to approach the university to try and license that product. So and then sell that product, give them a one flat fee or a percentage or however it would work. And so that's and there'll be other universities and other dementia centres in the States that also offer or do these type of things. So that's another area. The other area is 2 other areas for monetizing would be through the free school community, upsell them into one where there's more resources, Q&A, bring in speakers, bring on different conferences, and so you can do that. And then the fourth thing, the final thing is, once you've got the list, is no one is doing. If you're in pain, which these people are, they're in guilt, they're in pain, they're dealing with very difficult, complex problems, and here in the UK and also in the States, and you need access to psychogeriatricians and people who specialize in this, and there's very few of these people. So the idea would be, with those, the usual 5% at the top who have money, the idea would be to introduce them to a panel of experts, and then they could, on a monthly basis, they would pay on a group call or even on a one-to-one call. They could then, I'm not giving medical medication, but I can facilitate a group of experts who will, in terms of whether it's to do with behaviors or wandering or sexual deviance or whatever it is, doesn't really matter, whatever their individual specific pain point. So there are 4 or 5 different areas on the back end where there may be the opportunity to monetize this business.
Super interesting. So my always go-to question is, how do you make money off of this in the next 24 hours? Because otherwise the business doesn't have legs. Like it's like from day one, you figure out a monetization strategy. It sounds like, so this I'm just looking at the website. So what you built right now, is it just like a downloadable PDF? Is that what this is?
Yeah, just to start to, you've got to find a way to get their email. I could go in and create a product or whatever, but you've got to find a way to get their email, find out the people who are in pain, build relationships, and then I don't today need that money. I just, as context and as background, I have for 30 years, I run what in the UK we call them care homes, in the States they're called memory centres. So I run these and I've owned these centres for 30 years, most of my working life. Yeah. So I'm not a doctor, but I'm a business guy, but I've been dealing with people who, and so that's kind of the context. So although I'm not a doctor, I can credentialize myself and create authority because I'm dealing with these people and have done for years.
Yeah, Greg, what's your thoughts?
I'm also, by the way, I think that question around how do you make money in 24 hours is, it's such a good question, and it's really just a good prompt. You know what I mean?
And I'm more asked that because it's like, whenever I'm building anything, I'm trying to figure out what's the path to sustainability as fast as possible. I don't care about the money, right? It's like so that the organization has a longer life expectancy. You're just on average going to do better the faster you can get cash flow coming in for it. It sounds like with the memory center side, you already have some like credibility within this space. I wonder if this is just like a PR play where you go on every health podcast in the UK and the US and talk about this.
So I've got a list of 300 or 400 podcasts and influencers and charities and all sorts of people in the UK and in the States. And my plan is to over the next month get this report out and go on and, like you say, as a PR play to get the word out and build up and try and do piggyback on their list, because I have no list or anything. We'll piggyback on this, and that's also the reason for doing the report. It kind of credentializes. There's a scandal going on.
Yep. So I think it's probably PR is going to be the initial path to build that list, and then you inbound them into the site. So there's a database. It's called Raphonic. I just dropped it in the YouTube chat, but it's a podcast contact database. I think it's like they just raised prices like $249 a month. I've just gone in and you can go scrape every email out of there if you want, and that will give you typically they find you whoever the production manager is of the podcast or the show, and that is just a way to like go and do this at scale. Email every one of them that I published in the last 30 days. You can actually pull this data from Podcast Index. It's a like for what shows are actually active and which have like posted the most episodes. But I think there's an angle there, and then if you get a little bit of traction, as you know this, you're going to be picked up in larger news associations. There's Greg, what's that company that does digital PR that's out of the UK? I can't think of the name of it. Let me see if I can find it. But they specialize in basically like they make like posts for your website that are all around data, and then they go and they pitch news agencies that they know will like eat this because of the story, right? So like they would basically like write this article for you with all this research. They put it in this format for journalists, and then they handle like at scale outreach to journalists to get the story to show up. And then what happens is like as soon as Forbes picks it up, then everybody picks it up, right? And so that creates that flywheel.
What's the name of that company?
Yeah, I gotta find them. Hold on, give me 1 second.
And Cody, while you're finding that, can you walk through a little bit? Okay, so let's say Harvey goes on 20 podcasts and he's got 15 hours of content. How does he repurpose that content? What does that look like? Because I think he wants to build his own audience.
1000%.
So how does he do that?
So like what we see is the most effective way to do this right now is basically you go on these shows and then get the recordings, get the video recordings, and you basically take those video recordings and you turn them into clips into blog posts. If you have like a newsletter, you can do that as well. Like this is actually the company that I'm building. It's called Swell AI, and it's like content repurposing powered by AI. So you upload a video, it makes clips, blog posts, like white papers, whatever it is that you're trying to LinkedIn posts, etc. But that is then you basically take that, you schedule it out to social media. Again, company building this, I'm totally plugging this right now, but so it's like they'll make clips and then you can schedule those out to all the social channels that you're trying to do distribution through. So this is a way to kind of build this like engine. So it's like cool. I go on these podcasts, I make killer content. I then get the recordings from the shows that I go on. I plug that into like a software tool like this. You can also do all that manually outside of what we built. But then you take that and then it's like okay, I'm just basically telling the same story over and over again in bite-sized formats and in all the formats that are like all the channels that I'm trying to be present on. Which again is like for you, it's probably gonna be social. Like I would look at Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. That's where you're gonna, and maybe even Twitter. You can get some traction there. I feel like that. I mean, anything that Facebook owns because they traditionally have an older population that's on the platform. That's what is probably gonna be your focus. So I would probably all of my investment would be in like Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is really pushing For You page content right now, which is like what Instagram Reels are. It's basically their version of that. And I think that you could probably get in front of that audience with this. But yeah, let me find that PR agency. Greg, take the wheel.
I missed that. All that Clamato juice made me need to go to the bathroom. You know?
Are you talking about?
Do you think that though that once the list has been built up, that people will pay?
I really depends on. I think it's like what are you selling, right? In my mind, like probably the angle here because it sounds like you don't like the cash flow piece is less important at the beginning. If I was in your shoes, I'd probably like do this report and then I release a book a year later, or like have a book to drop 6 months after this. And then from that, you can probably go and then the long-term strategy is sell products, like physical products, like some type of e-commerce play. So again, I'm just looking at the keywords that are like related to dementia products, and it's like bras for elderly with dementia, anti-strip clothing dementia. What is this? Door lock for dementia patients.
Yeah, there's a lot of also technology about tracking people going wandering.
100%. I mean, maybe it's a wearable, right? And it's like totally. And then that's a subscription service that's built on top of this. Totally. But that's actually probably the better business, right? Is like.
But what about the idea though of the two other ideas? That idea, affiliates and all that I understand. But then what about the idea about because they're in pain, either the getting of the licenses from the places that are already doing the research in dementia, and B also the panel of experts giving them access weekly, monthly, whatever to qualified people.
Yeah, it could be that. I think that's just. I mean, you know, service businesses function, right? Like you're doing this in a physical sense.
Yes,
it is a logistics today.
It's bricks and like 24 hours a day, bricks and mortar.
Totally. And like, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would look at something that is more of a repeatable thing that scales without, like a lot of human talent. Like a lot of these e-commerce companies anymore, they use a 3PL, right?
So the experts thing, I agree, is it goes to your point about issues around but the idea though of maybe them persuading universities to have licenses and just selling the licenses, and that involves I'm not relying on myself or anyone else for that matter. Because if you can sell those licenses of activity packs and also create a continuity program within that, so you're updating that all the time, and sell those licenses for either $500 or $1,000 plus the continuity of $100 a month for new content, then that's 1,000 people, that's a million, that's a million quid straight away without continuity. I don't know if I'm just going wishful thinking rather than the affiliate route. I don't know. I'm not sure.
The short answer to your question is, is there, do you think people are willing to pay for this? The good news is you're building in a space that people have disposable income and they want to spend money. So that's why I think that if you could become,
and they have the ability.
Correct. And I think that if you could build a trusted source, I think that's step one for me. It's like, how do I build and earn as much trust via building content and internet audiences going on these podcasts, doing like reaction videos to people like Peter Attia, Andrew Huberman with the context of dementia, like stitching together videos and repurposing that, just being like the dementia person.
Thought leader,
Because really, I've been in this space a long time and watch it. Even in the States, there's no one doing that kind of stuff.
Totally.
You probably just answer the questions that are like most commonly asked.
Yeah,
on social media.
that's right. So there's 100 questions I've been on, like Answer the Public. You know, if you're a son or daughter, do you get dementia? And there's 100 questions that taboo questions that no one will ask, but really people really want to know.
Like here's one, like how to get a POA for a parent with dementia, right? Like 30 search volume, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's 39,000 keywords I'm seeing right now. You could probably one-shot articles, write these with Perplexity AI Pro right now. I'll drop this in the chat so it's public, but Perplexity AI Pro uses Opus currently, and it pulls all the information from whatever's ranking currently. So it'll go and like if a journal is ranking, it'll pull that into the context window and then write based off of that for the article. And like for medical content, we're seeing these articles that we're writing be like really, really well written to one-shot it, but this could be a way to like 0 to 1 it kind of quickly. Yeah, great. What's your thoughts on that?
Kyla, has a very Cody response. I don't know if you saw this. You see
Lead magnet push to Facebook, 55, yeah, 100%. And with a wearable, 100%. I mean, you could probably do it with it would be to the kids, right? Who's the decision maker?
The decision maker there's two decision makers. There's either the spouse who's in her 70s or 80s, or it's the son and daughter who's in their 50s and 60s.
Right.
Those are the decision makers.
Super interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would just look at the demographic data, like what they were just suggesting, like whatever the average age for dementia is, the bell curve shows, and target that subset. It's just going to be Facebook ads, lead magnet, exactly. I mean, it could be Facebook ads to your website that has the lead magnet, which is your report, and then that just turns into like, okay, cool, then it's the wearable. That's a super easy funnel to build. And then on the SEO play there, then is go answer every question related to dementia, and then the PR plays. We dropped in the chat. I found that company's name. I think somebody else dropped it as well, but it's called Search Intelligence. They're UK based, and basically what they do is they can take the report that you have, they'll translate it into like a digital version, and then they go and they'll pitch, basically every large news agency on this data. And like again, with something like this, they're 100% going to pick it up. Like anything health related, they always like jump on. So I think that those 3 channels would be an easy way, and then that product that you're selling on the back end would be an easy way to build this. So
this is awesome. I really love what you're building, and I think there's something here. It's I mean, there's no question there's something here, and
figuring out.
I think it's figuring out what is the right product at the right price and the right rollout. But I do think that the audience piece and the content piece, everything else, once that's been figured out and you've built that system and process to go and build that, everything else, like figuring out what the product is, like we can brainstorm 5, 6 ideas.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on, and I also
it's been great fun. Thank you very much indeed.
I love what you're doing. My grandma's early onset, so it's anyway,
we all know someone. We all know someone.
Exactly. 1 and 2 of us know.
Same.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, we have one last person.
Let's do it.
And let's see what he's like. You never know, right? You never know. It could be.
I don't know, man. It feels like chat roulette, but like way less dicks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we don't know, Alex could be super weird. Let's see.
Hi, how you doing? Cody, what's up, man? Yeah, I'm doing this. My girl's got home from night shift, so I gotta help out.
I love it.
Yeah, we were at the park the other day with our dogs. And I saw the episode of Cody talking about him being out at the park and stuff. And I thought that is just like me. Checking in from San Diego again today. Cool. And I had this thought in my mind. Some numbers that kind of blew me away about our city, San Diego, California. There are 30 million unique visitors every tourists to the city every single year. And I know that a bunch of local people are looking for things to do in the city, but there's not really an authority that you can go. There's a bunch of influencers. If you just scroll, like you said, I noticed Facebook pushing on Instagram more local things in the reels and in the carousels and stuff like that. And if you just go, there's a bunch of influencers posting content about things to do, but there's nobody that pre-packages that for you and ships it out to you in an email and says, things that are going on in real life. I mean, we have the best weather. We have some of the best events going on, the beaches and stuff like that. 30 million people visit every year. And I verified it in SEMrush, the traffic and the search results for things to do in San Diego and things to do in California, things like this. And there's at least 40, 50, 100,000 searches for that alone. There's hundreds of thousands of searches for hotels to stay in from the 30 million people coming in every single year. Last year, we had our largest year, and I think it brought in like $38 billion or $1 billion of tourism money. But what's a good way to monetize on all this traffic? And I think it's just about information, about packaging that information and shipping it to the right people who are interested in doing this, whether that's via a newsletter, a blog. How would you guys go about, capitalizing on all this volume of tourism and local people who are looking to do stuff in the city?
It's just so hard. So I did consulting for a tourism association at one point, and like it is like one of the most cutthroat industries because it's just like so many people are competing in it. Like ranking for things to do in XYZ city is going to be one of the hardest things that you've ever done. The thing that immediately came to my mind, so there's that trend of what you said, 35 million, 11 billion spent in San Diego in 2019 on tourism related activities. But the other thing that you could attach that to is the majority of people are starting their searches on social now rather than going to like Google or like someplace like that to find what to do. So there's probably an angle. Ray and I actually talked about this on another pod, I believe, or another episode where it was basically like you become the authority for there's kind of 2 different places. Like you individually are this, like you go answer like things to do in San Diego in February. Like I'm just looking at the list here, like things to do alone in San Diego, things to do solo in San Diego, and you basically make content for every one of those keywords and put it across social because people are searching those things. The other side of it is you go like the B2B route, you go to companies basically, and you're like, yo, I'll make these videos or include you in them. Or, there's some type of payment structure around that. But Greg, I'm curious your thoughts. I think the social here is where the arbitrage exists currently. You competing with the website is going to be like, I mean, I've been doing this 15 plus years. Like that makes me nervous thinking about that. Right.
Right. Yeah. It's a big city too.
Yeah. Totally.
So I gotta be honest. I don't love these types of businesses. I get pitched on it a lot, and I've actually invested in several businesses that were trying to create apps that were supposed to be like, I just landed in San Diego. What are like the coolest places to go to? And they all end up pivoting to some B2B version of it because the monetization is so hard.
Yeah.
If I were you,
decided this. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry, I have another.
Yeah, no worries. If I were you, I would pick something else to do as your main thing, and as your side thing, if TikTok is the new review, just create a channel where you review things and you build an audience just very organically, and you drive into a newsletter, and just let it just be local TikTok meets newsletter, and it's just like a monthly email where it's like a recap. You can probably automate a lot of that with AI anyways.
And then sell ad space to the San Diego Tourism Association.
Right.
So
Right.
you can actually target tourists that are visiting an area on Facebook ads. This is something that I haven't done this in probably 18 months, but you can for sure, you used to be able to do this, don't quote me on it, but so basically you can be like anybody that doesn't live in that area, that's currently in that area, you can target them, right? So actively you can target tourists, right? So the other way that you go about this is like you make an agency that's for these tourism, like, type businesses. Like, so for example, say somebody does like paddleboarding in the Sound or some shit like that, right? You go to them, you're like, yo, we'll run Facebook ads and do lead gen for you to the two tourists that are visiting this area. Or the other side of it, like, is later on, you have the organic social side that we're talking about, and you do the paid social, make an ebook, and it's like 20 things to do in San Diego when you're visiting, right? Something super dumb and simple, and run Facebook ads to the tourists that are there. Like, you're probably gonna get like super cheap conversions. That turns into an email newsletter, and then go to the tourism association that's in San Diego. Like, they have state budget and funding that they have to allocate on a yearly basis. And you're like, yo, we know that like I have this email list of all these people exactly that have either traveled here or whatever that ends up being, or if you're currently, it's probably they're coming back. But then you can probably do some type of like yearly deal with them where you like, we're gonna do 12 issues or 24 issues, you're gonna sponsor that, and then that turns, I mean, it's probably a good little like side business. The scale version of this is then you go to every city in the US and you make this exact playbook for every, like you do it for every major metro, right? And that's the $10 million version of this. But the smaller version that I'm talking about is probably
just start on social, organic, totally organic. Initially is what I thought, And I want to comment on the last person who was on, Harvey. And just if I could give my thoughts, I worked in healthcare with people with dementia for like 10 years, and there's so much demand for these kind of products. And we all know somebody who has dementia or Alzheimer's, and people are looking for workbooks, coloring books, and things like digital products that people in dementia would absolutely buy. Like my mom right now has a brother who's dealing with it, and she buys coloring books at the 99-cent store, just looks at things for him to do that will help him. And there's people who are getting to that age group who are looking for things to help themselves with, who are usually retired, have more disposable income and things like that. And I just thought Harvey had such a nice idea, but thanks for having me on, guys. You guys are always awesome.
Love it, man. Love it. Tourism is super hard. I think it's building the media version of that and selling it to a state that is terrible at allocating budget. Like, I've seen deals where it's like I saw this blogger have like 20,000 subs on a newsletter, was getting paid $150 grand a year to like just write a newsletter a week, like just dumb shit, right? But the state was funding it, and they don't know the value of any of this. And so, anyways, that's just something there for you.
Cool. Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm taking it all in. I'm a sponge. Thank you guys for having me on.
Man, good luck.
Yeah. Have a good one. Take care.
So I think that Alex gets the nicest guy on the planet award for this live stream, and Harvey gets probably the highest impact award. And he just like low-key owns like a bunch of these homes, like legend.
The subtext of that conversation too was like, I don't give a fuck about the money. I'm trying to make like social impact with this. I already secured the bag, bitch.
I've been doing this for 20 to 30 years.
100%.
So that was really cool.
I mean, a lot of it goes undiagnosed too, which is like a huge piece of this. So I don't know, dude. I love the local stuff. It's like I feel like that is the same as like somebody pitching local news. I'm like, yeah, it's a great idea. Everybody wants it. There's not enough local news. Like, there's just like not enough things happening for you to even make like a channel about this. So
yeah, it's like you always get the same ideas where it's like recommendations, local news, an app to find your friends.
Totally. But there's always like something in that though, right? Like there's like a layer down of that. Like, again, like you went and you're like, hey, if I was them, I'd go find like every company that's on Airbnb. What is it called? Like their events thing? Experiences. Yeah, I find every company there and be like, yo, we do Facebook ads and tourism for you. Like, we know how to target tourists that are in the area that are looking for things to do. Like, give us some type of offer and we'll just run on the background.
I mean, that's the idea, dude. The product service offer for Airbnb experiences.
100%. I mean, that and then that's replicable. And you go and you get charge $2K a month for the small business or whatever that number is that will make sense to them. It's probably gonna be closer to that 1,000 range just because that's what I've seen them spend in the past. But I mean, go get 100 clients, offshore talent. They're running the ads for it. Like use the same types of creative over and over again. Pick the big cities that people travel to: Nashville, Austin, San Diego. Any of these places where they drop in. They're trying to see what to do. And then you probably could like section it down where it's like, oh, parents with kids, we know like the zoo or whatever, right? So you can actually like again, you can be like, oh, they're a tourist and they have kids under the age of 12. Like you can target those people and basically run ads to them, right? So something else could happen.
That's interesting. You used to be able to target on Facebook ads people who've entered an area in the last 24 hours and don't live in that area.
It's insane. Let me go see if you can still do this targeting. It's been a minute since I've ran it, but we'll do it live while we're in the background. Are we done? We calling it, or what's your?
We're calling it.
Cool. You've been grinding, man. How long you been here? 2 hours?
No, never half. It's easy. Plus the Clamato juice that keeps you going.
Yeah. It's revitalizing.
Totally. Cody, you have anything to plug before we head out?
No, man, nothing to plug. I think this is like startup school in a new way, and it's like very interesting because it's like just live things. Also with this type of stuff, you get so many at bats for businesses, and that to me is like the thing I'm obsessed over right now is like, how do I get more looks at the plate? So like in baseball, it's like you're trying to see as many pitches as possible. Like read Moneyball, and it's like you hit better if you see more pitches, right? And that idea, I'm trying to apply that like more and more into my life, and so I feel like this is doing a service to that, right? It's like I get at bats at the plate, like where I'm seeing other people's pitches, but I don't have any of the downside of like I strike out, right? And so, anyways, that's the only thing I leave with people to think about as I go forward with this. But I think what you're doing here with this is so sick.
Cool, I appreciate it. No real plug for me either, except that if you do like this, you probably just want to subscribe and put notifications on YouTube because Twitter's suppressing links right now. So go to YouTube, @Greg Eisenberg, and click subscribe. And
the only other thing that is, sorry, this is just like news, so I'm dropping it because it's fucking insane. I just tweeted about this like last night, but my friend reached out to me. He's like IG, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts famous. Started porting his content over to LinkedIn, and he did 400,000 views. He just texted me this morning. It's at 500,000 now. But he did 400,000 views in the last 7 days on LinkedIn with only 2,700 followers on his account. So why is this happening? LinkedIn is just starting to roll out a For You page content, just like every other channel. So there's going to be a tab that shows up on everybody's LinkedIn mobile, and it's going to be just like infinite scroll type content. And if you make good business content on any of those other platforms, you just port it to LinkedIn. Like there's a huge opportunity. It's just blue ocean right now. So that'd be the only other thing I throw out for people just that I've seen on the front lines.
100%. I already got a few posts scheduled for next week just to try it out.
That's the one thing that we've not done is put Don't Be a Doorstop podcasts on LinkedIn. But it is a thought. Because it is good, especially when we're talking about business ideas. Like the last pod that we just recorded was like business. So maybe. Again, I guess it's a little bit of a fear to be like seen doing stuff in the LinkedIn sphere is different to be seen in the other sphere because it's like more official somehow. But maybe that's something that I just need to bite the bullet on and do anyway. But yeah, vote down below if you think we should be posting our videos on on LinkedIn as well. I don't consume anything on LinkedIn because it's just like recruiters and stuff. So I'm not really over there at all much. But sweet. Well, I think let's just finish this off and then maybe I'll call it quits for the day.
That's why I like long form is like you can do something like this for an hour and a half, chop it up into like 5 or 6 clips.
Totally.
Well,
That's my company, right? So like Swell AI, that's what we're doing. There's the plug. Make filler content, turn it in. We just actually figured out how to make it so it'll write like, so I take an episode, I'm like, list 20 long tail keyword phrases related to this transcript, writes like perfect titles, and then you match those against like, is there keyword volume for it? And then within the app, it'll just like yeet out fucking 20 different articles, and you can publish them right to your website. I'm like, it's about to get so crazy with all this. I mean, you already know this.
Hold up. Well, I need to turn on captions for that. I might need to slow it down as well. So what was you saying?
Just like every other channel. So there's going to be a tab that shows up on everybody's LinkedIn mobile, and it's going to be just like,
yes.
100%.
We'll just like yeet out fucking 20 different articles. You can publish them right to your website. I'm like, it's about to get so crazy with all this. I mean, you already, there's the plug. Make filler content, turn it in. We just actually figured out how to make it so it'll write like, so I take an episode, I'm like, list 20 long tail keyword phrases related.
List 21 long. Will this do? No. Okay. Let me write it out. So list 20 long tail keyword phrases related
to this transcript. Writes like
to this transcript.
Perfect titles, and then you match those against like, is there keyword volume for it? And then within the app, it'll just like.
This is a great idea for Don't Be a Doorstop. So we have don'tbeadoorstop.com. It's literally basic, just the latest episodes. Oh, that reminds me, I need to upload to thing. We have this blog bit, but I've not put anything in here whatsoever. However, if we did that, let's just try it with the let's just try it with one of the episodes. Let me find an episode that would make sense. ChatGPT. So this is a really good tool to find transcripts. Go on.
The Apple event was utterly disappointing.
Lol. It's my hook. I enjoyed this one, so we'll go in for this one. We'll go in the transcript. Remove the timestamp single line copy. I want you guys to see this as well. So list 20 long tail keyword phrases related to this transcript. So this is the transcript. And then if he's working out search volume, is there a free tool to just do the search volume? If I had an ads account, I think I still have an ads account. Okay, so if I get this, yes, here we go. So if I get it like this, I can put it in to find the search volumes. Lol, none of it has search volume. Cool. So that didn't really work, but you'll see here, none of it. So none of these have things. Again, I know that ChatGPT is not going to be always the best on this, but none of it, none of these long tail. So it just means like no point writing about it to some degree if nobody's already searching for it, and that's whole year. Well, at least it was worth an experiment to try that out. I remember that for later.
Like yeet out fucking 20 different articles and you can publish them right to your website. I'm like, it's about to get so crazy with all this. I mean, you already know this, but it's there's so much, like, the amount of content a company's gonna be able to create with like one good marketer is it's gonna function like 100 people are working on the team. Like that's what we're headed. Or we'll just automate it entirely away, like with an agent that's just like running the playbook. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
have you seen Mr. Beast's viewstats.com?
No.
So Mr. Beast launched a kind of like competitive analysis software for YouTube.
No way. Viewstats.com? Is that what he owns?
He owns that, and it's really smart.
What's your take on it? Talk to me about it.
Well, I think it's just here's my take. I think that Mr. Beast tried Beastburger, tried Feastables, and he's like, wow, that's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Put together physical product. Put together like a crack team of like 7 engineers, and he knows YouTube, so you know it's founder product market fit, and now he's just like, I haven't used the tool, and I should use it. I mean, but basically it allows you to just like check more information about different YouTube channels.
Dude, are you seeing the traffic to this thing a month into this?
Holy, yeah, what is it? What do you check for that?
I'm just looking at SEMrush just because I had it open. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
You see that? Yeah, cool. I mean, this is what launched in, I'm guessing March, probably soft.
Yeah.
I mean, just going vertical, right? Yeah. That's going to be huge. I mean, honestly, what that functions as too for an influencer is that's almost like a media kit. Like, here's all the data. This is my CPM. Here's what proves it, right?
Totally.
I'm curious to see what pages are doing the best.
I also think it puts him at like the center of, not that he needed it, but he's still like, he's gonna have the top YouTube creators using it, and then he could be like, oh hey, Nelf Boys, like we should totally collab on this video.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that they're Tenko on YouTube says Social Blade clone. Like it is kind of like a Social Blade clone. They're not there yet. But have you seen Social Blade?
Yes, like forever ago. That's what I thought. That's why I've never really used it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably an opportunity then to disrupt that, right? And then Social Blade went like they went to Twitch as well, if I remember. I mean, there's probably you go to every place. Yeah, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram analytics. And then this is just a subscription service for. I mean, this all this turns into is an influencer marketing tool that you're going and selling agencies access for, right? And like marketing associations. 20 grand a year, do unlimited searches to find all the influencers in your category that are getting views. That's whatever the filters are that you're trying to do. Dude, that's gonna be a huge company. This is gonna be a huge company. Holy shit.
Look at this. Look at Social Blade.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like just the UI is just so brutal. Look at this.
Yeah. Can't even filter down on it. Well, the thing you could do too with YouTube, so just like I was talking about Refonic earlier, where you basically like they've created this database to access all those people, you do that same thing. You can actually scrape YouTubers' email addresses from their channels, and then just like that's how we do reach out for like influencers that we're working with. So hypothetically, he goes and he scrapes all the emails of all these influencers or whoever their teams are, right? And then sells access to those. That's the paywall data that ends up happening. But
have you heard of the Stream Charts?
No, I haven't.
Me neither. I don't know. Let me share my screen. Stream Charts. Is that the? No, this is not. Okay. Stream Charts.
Is this for live streaming? Yeah. Looks like I'm Keek and shit.
It's not letting me get to it.
Interesting.
But I believe you.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it right now. It's looking like Twitch, YouTube, Keek, just every place that there's streaming occurring, and like who the tops are. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. What do you feel like? Why do you feel like? So you think he's just doing it for like clout, or like what's the end here? Because it feels. I mean, the gameplay for him is like it feels obvious, right? Like especially with his demographic of his audience. Like if you look at the average age, it's like 15, if I remember right from what I read. So it's just like go sell Candy Crush clones, and you'll print probably 100 million in the next 18 months.
I think he's dipping his toe into software, and this just makes the most sense. My guess is he's doing a software holding company, and he can build like a bunch of tools for creators.
Yep.
That's my guess.
Yep. I mean, something you could probably sell so easily is do a course clone. So like GoClone Podia or Teachable, and that's another $1 billion company that he can spin off of this, and then just use his audience on YouTube to basically sell that.
Totally.
This is the future though, right? It's like own distribution. You put whatever you want on those rails, and then like overnight you just 0 to 1 this company, and it's sustainable. And then it just like hire the team to basically run it, and you move on to the next one. Like that is, this is the great playbook.
I didn't realize that he made a game. Like if I'm him, I'm acquiring like a mobile app studio.
Totally, it's already built.
Already built.
Yep. Then you just like pump traffic to it, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Make go find whatever the top iPads apps are, like do acquisitions for all of them, and then I mean, again, overnight you would make the money back in probably 30 days after the deal closed.
$50 to cut your hair. Are you doing it?
Hell yeah, dude! I'll get a mullet on the next call. I'm dead serious. I'm over it. It's hot. We'll just go full Garth Brooks.
For $50?
I'll do it for free. 4 whiskeys in. Hell yeah.
You're like Harvey. You're like, I don't need the money.
What's disappointed?
Yeah. All right. Another time. Next time we'll get you to do a live shave. Who's gonna cut yourself?
No, I'll just have my girlfriend. She'll just stand in the back, faceless.
Faceless?
Faceless, just right here, and she'll just cut it while we're live.
That's so good.
So we'll have her like roll a joint, while we're on stream as well.
That'd be so funny.
All right, I need to bounce.
All right.
Oh yeah, brother. We'll talk
Later.
soon.
Later. All right, so there you have it. Another Saturday brainstorm. That was fun. Thanks everyone who came on. Again, go to YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next one's coming out. If this was fun, share this with your friends. The live stream will be available. It takes like a few minutes to upload, so people can watch this later. And have a great day. Have a creative day. Later, everyone.
I thought that was good. Like, again, I was watching it 2 times the speed. That was what, like an hour and 140 of just like content ideas and stuff. That was pretty good. So yeah, I like that a lot. Sweet. Well, thanks so much for joining along. And yeah, I've been doing work in the background basically while that was happening, so I can intake information, start up information and stuff as long as alongside doing just some tasks, which is good fun. Right, see you on the other side. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.